Okay, hello. You find yourselves late in the evening of September 3rd, 1384. Are you up late to try to get some things done? Now that is an interesting decision. Sometimes those nights can be rather memorable, wouldn't you say? Sometimes you can stay up late and get things done in the dark. There are torches here in Arabel, and there are lanterns that burn gas. There is a pair of those lanterns outside. Remember the miners that you rescued? They did not return to Garden Reach to continue to life underground. They left you something that they will not need any longer. A cart, suitable for transportation, with 2 horses to pull it, and 2 gas mining lanterns to illuminate it. Canvas sides for the coal bed. Stenciled block letters, Cole Cormier. Just in case you would need to go somewhere on short notice. Hi. I have had a chance to review your itinerary for tonight. And there are 6 of you. Wow. So many. Ada, Taldrid, and Euros. You could not be stopped from assuming not 1, but 2 dark deeds. First, Euros, you will bear witness to major surgery. Under the vision here of the Watcher Helm, Taldrid prepares to implant a cursed eye into Ada's head. Second, the 3 of you prepare to abscond in the night to Prime Materiel, the magic shop run by a spaced-out shopkeep, Martin. Gastmere and Brenner, you remain at the temple. Forbes is here with you, and you sense that he may be centrally important. And tempers seem a bit hot tonight, wouldn't you say? The paladin seemed rather terse in the galley. While your companions are out in the darkness of the city, who knows what could happen to the 2 of you here? Nothing gold. You prepare to reconnaissance the Arabel city jail. You fear that you may not like what you find. First, you will have to select a form, and then you will have to go west in the city toward the jail. Ada has offered you the power to hide from lesser creatures. Best to hope that there are no greater forces afoot. But before you fray your cords, you are still together here in the safe house of the temple. The action is with the party. When you pick your separate paths, tell me in what order, and we will resolve them.
I imagine we should probably get the eyeball out of the way first.
I disagree. If something goes wrong with that, we're not going to be able to do the other tasks.
What could possibly go wrong?
Okay. Good point. Let's do it now.
Awesome.
It's just a reduce spell, right?
Restoration.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was lesser or greater, but either way, I have both of them. I remember checking my sheet before, and I had at least 1 of every spell slot available.
Before we do that, nothing gold.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to cast the spell on you?
Yes, I think. Who is going to be remaining behind today?
Looks like
Brenner
we're-
Oswick, Alyssa
And?
Gastmere. I seem to be carrying, well, a lot of things that I think I should just dump with you in case you don't want me to be caught with them.
Seems sensible. Guess unlike you, are you feeling well?
Which room is yours?
Who are you directing that toward?
Gastmere is the one taunting her currently, but she's looking between Gastmere and Brenner, so whoever responds first.
You could just dump it to the far left. I don't know if
Far
I can
left,
ping them
got
yet.
it.
Bottom left.
Last door on your left.
She will sort of trot off and go deposit a bunch of things, and say, oh, by the way, Ada, she's like calling around the corner, so it's kind of loud. If any of this you think you could offload during your shopping ventures, please feel free to do so.
Thank you, I will.
D&D and Beyond is up, by the way.
There's probably like a loud crash and then kind of like an animal digging sound. And then she'll come back and be like, alright, I'm ready for magic now. Is somebody going to be dropping me off?
Dropping you off. This isn't a delivery service.
Does changing my form break your spellcasting?
It will, yes. Any action that you take will break it.
Any action?
Where are you trying to go again?
The prison.
You just
The
want me-
prison.
I can just throw you over the wall.
Would you?
I mean, if you're a cat, yeah, it's just walk near your side nonchalant, just...
Do fists often throw cats? I'm just saying it would attract
Everyone
my
often
attention.
throw cats.
Who can throw cats? Guess me.
I'm sure everyone can throw one cat.
Well, if you change forms, the invisibility spell will be broken.
Alright, well, I was thinking of going something smaller that might be able to climb vertically, but my concern is that, well, I would not be able to cross so much distance. So if I could hitch a ride with Yoros, that would serve me best, serve us best, since we're all interested in the outcome of this mission.
Seems sensible.
Just, when you get to the jail, just lean against the wall and I'll, make my way from there. You don't have to do anything, no big gestures.
Well, I mean, can't you just leap from a nearby tree? Cats.
Yoris, you were gonna come shopping with me, I thought.
Yes, I am, so that does take priority. I mean, I was just kind of tossing out a, something a little light in the mood about the cat breaking into a jail.
I don't think you need it to be tossed over the wall, if I'm being honest.
I don't. It's just, say if I'm a spider, it may take me half the night to get from here to the jail.
Why don't you... Oh, I see. It's a matter of speed, but you were able to keep up with us in cat form previously.
But my cat form would not be able to climb up the jail walls. Although Yoros did have a point about the tree. I don't remember if there was one nearby, but there would be a lot of noise involved in that for certain.
The walls are just barely taller than we are. I don't see a cat.
That seems
drop.
incredibly tall to Nothing Gold, so...
Across the table, they were like 12 feet tall as we passed them, right? They're very, very high.
Okay.
And like solid rock, it wasn't like gaps, yeah. So again, as a spider, I could scale that quite easily, but tiny little spider legs.
If before we initiate these separate paths, if you would like someone to drop you off without disrupting their actions in the night, I think that's reasonable. For example, Euros dropping you off and then returning back for his scheduled violation of the natural order with Taldred.
Yeah, I think that should be fun. We can just mosey on down there real quick, put you up against the wall, and just be on my way.
Thank you.
Why don't we put the eye first? Sorry to throw a little bit of a wrench at it. Invisibility is a concentration spell. I have a feeling my concentration might be broken when major surgery is being done on my face.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's just all powwow and do this now. Then we can move on with our night.
Alright, go lay on the couch.
Taldred goes, yeah, let's get to it. And he like holds up a fork and he's like, nope, not that one. Hold on.
Do you
Don't look
intend
so
to
excited.
somehow numb the pain, or should somebody be holding Miss Worthwhile down?
I mean, I assume the spell will do most of it.
Have you ever
Yeah,
been
quite
under
sure.
a restoration spell before?
Oh yes.
Okay, Doc, I trust you. I will go and sit on the couch. Here, let me move myself. I will fidget.
Gastmere looms, watching.
No, go hold her hand, Gastmere. Don't do that.
Why would I hold her hand? She seems to be
Because
doing
if she
fine.
squeezes down during a bout of pain, you seem the most sturdy.
I'll be alright.
Yeah, she's gonna be fine. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
You are preparing to implant the disembodied eyeball that you found hanging like a uvula out of the rotten eye socket of a dwarf that died in the swamp. Ada, this makes sense to you. Taldrid, you are prepared to voyage into the new realm of explaining to the authorities the subtle differences between experimental medicine and necromancy.
Damn right, he's still alive. Chief.
Euros, you are placing the records of this idea into your mental bin labeled Terrible Ideas. You have never spoken to Helm, but you cannot imagine that he would categorize this idea any differently. Well, here you go. The eye is slimy, and the purple and crimson color and strangely firm, sponge-like texture remind you of pickled beets.
This is like one of the few things that doesn't gross out Taldrid because he has had extensive experience with all this kind of shit.
You've got the eyeball. You've got the spell book. Do your best.
What do you want from me?
What
Do I
do I
just
want?
do I just hold the eyeball over it and cast restoration?
What do you think? Would you attempt to squeeze it in there? What would you do?
I mean, because there's a dead eye in there right now, right? You can't have two eyeballs in one socket. Or could we?
Do you remember how we helped that miner out in the mine and I helped you with Mage Hand?
Wait, what?
Was it the miner from...
No, you helped with Ada specifically.
I'm sorry, yeah. Sorry.
Are you intending to pluck my eye out with an...
I've got this. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, we've already worked on the socket before. What's one more time? Same deal as last time. I can hold the eye in place while you work your magics.
The judgmental angle of Gastmere's eyebrows increases.
Okay. First we gotta get that other eye out of there.
What? Why?
Because you can't have two eyes in there.
Are you quite certain we aren't simply about to traumatize her again?
Doc,
She made this decision. Tell her, Ada. Tell her.
just don't listen to anybody.
Damn right. Not going to. Taldrid, gets the eye close to Ada's face and casts, which one do you want? Lesser Restoration or Greater Restoration?
Greater.
I will cast Greater Restoration then.
You experiment with the dark arts. You mock Helm in his own temple. On another plane, somewhere far away, there is the loud gong of a bell and an acolyte shaking her head. You transgress. You transgress.
We're on the board, boys!
You transgress. Ada, your right eye is now a crimson color. You are better at seeing the weaknesses in other people. A gift fit for a sadist. Is that truly you? Best hope so.
Anybody that runs for political office, I think, is up there.
You feel no pain, Ada.
Damn right.
Can I see out of the new eye?
You can.
So I finally have depth
Depth perception, yes.
Oh, what about the charisma thing?
Oh, that's I think this red eye maintains your penalized charisma. Great question, though.
I'm still kind of disfigured, I imagine.
So red as in bloodshot, or red as in like blood for the whole white of the eye?
How do you imagine it, Ada?
Bloodshot.
Oh,
This is like a dead eye. I imagine it kind of dried out, so the veins are engorged.
I like a zombie eye.
Yeah, I don't imagine it like a Terminator eye. That doesn't really make sense to me. How does it feel? Do I feel anything strange? I mean, we just like, did something weird in Helm's bosom.
Why would you think that you'd feel something weird in Helm's bosom? Do you think that a mistake has been made?
I think that I'm desperate.
Smith is moving a hand in front of Ada's face on the previously blind side and snapping her fingers.
I'll slap the hand away. Stop that.
So you can see.
Yes, I can see. Thank you, Taldred. It worked perfectly. I felt no pain, and now I can see out of my right eye.
you're welcome.
Do you feel any different?
I'm going to look at Lissa Gasmere.
You look at Lissa Gastmere. You have a funny feeling that you could take her if you needed to.
It really is Grint's eyeball.
You think that you should probably go for the hamstrings if you had to.
I feel great. I think this was a great idea.
Yeah, self-improvement's always a good way forward for everybody.
If I might pose a point to this, you should probably dispose of the other one. Unless you want to bury it. Probably not great to be caught with an eye on you.
It's best not to donate your body parts to somebody who might use them for ill.
Just throw it in the fire, whatever.
Yeah, Brenner would basically point towards the fireplace. That's the word.
Are we not intending to put it back after?
Doesn't work, why would you?
It's hers.
So?
You can get rid of it.
Done and done. Taldridge just like rolls it right into the fire.
You very optimistically assume there is an afterwards.
The fire crackles and spits.
Now, nothing gold.
Hmm.
On to more important things. You, invisibility. Yoros, are you going to transport her?
Sure.
I assume you've cast the spell before, so you must know how it works.
Invisibility, yes.
I'm talking to Yoros.
Yes, why?
If it breaks, you can do it again.
Yes.
Okay. Now, nothing gold. If somebody sees through your subterfuge, that is a dead ringer that they're getting their power from somewhere dark. That can be a useful tell as well. But you're not completely undetectable, of course. I'll shrug. Anyway, let's try this thing out. I'm going to cast invisibility on the.
Well, first she'll shapeshift.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a very like limbs sort of elongate and crack and elbows go back the wrong way and it's completely a horrifying eldritch mess of limbs and angles and then she's a small wolf spider.
Yeah, I didn't want to sleep tonight anyway.
Oh god, you have a spider icon.
Alright. I will cast this spell, and the book does not close on my fingers.
You maintain concentration for invisibility, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And Yoros, you are dropping off nothing gold. You prepare to recon the Arabel City Jail. And then we have several other things to resolve. But you tell me, in which order would you like to do so? Actually, party, I need like 30 seconds. So when I come back, tell me which one we're doing first.
Okay, I think it should be.
So, because it's the nighttime, you probably shouldn't travel to the shop without me.
I agree. I would like to wait for you to return.
So I don't think that'll take more than 5-10 minutes to just walk down the road, put a spider against the wall or whatever, and then get out of there because it's a spider.
Agreed. I think we can wait.
So he's carrying an invisible spider.
Yep.
Yeah.
As you do.
On the bright side, if they see through the invisibility, I imagine that jail is full of spider.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, an invisible spider is a bit weird, though. Like, how did it get invisible?
We're in
Honestly,
Faerun.
since you're a spider, I doubt you'll need the invisibility spell. It's
It
probably...
can't hurt.
Quaden Hood.
Honestly, I feel like it could hurt because if there's like a
How large is it?
because if they are...
It's a medium-sized creature apparently.
I'm sorry. Fucking what?
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 You're the size of a dog!
Like,
Like, the size
she's
of this
that,
thing.
she's that.
You're the size of that!
Yeah. For scale, thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you get caught like that, they're gonna fucking try to burn you. Like,
Carry
what do
that.
you do when you catch a regular spider in your house? You try and do
I
something
cry.
bad to it. I don't.
If
Well,
if
let
there's
me-
a detect magic spell, they would detect her shape changed anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
On the bright side, if they find her, they'll just burn down the jail.
There you go.
We determined that the spider is size medium.
That's what it says on the stat sheet.
Would
Unless
you-
I'm looking at the wrong one.
Would you prefer to be a...
Small.
Yes. Would you prefer
I've-
to be a spider that is more suitable to your mission? And I'm assuming, given your broad source of power, you can be a smaller spider should you see fit.
Yes. She'll be like the size, like she can fit in Euros's palm.
Tiny.
Tiny spider. That sounds reasonable.
I think we should have Euros drop her off. Euros comes back. I don't know the order in which do we want to run concurrent scenes? Was that the question?
That's the yes. So all of these things happen concurrently. That is to say, there are 3 independent threads. Those threads will resolve at the same time. So however you wish to play them out individually, that's how we will do it.
Yeah,
What? Go ahead, please.
I think that while they're en route, we should discuss amongst ourselves. Well, I would like to talk to Taldred briefly about the ethics of distort value and look at the items of nothing gold and see what we would like to sell. Brenner and Gastmere. Don't let me step
Yeah.
on your scene, if any.
I think we probably have the least active doing because I got the impression that these characters are staying behind and potentially looking in on Forbes because Forbes seems a bit unprotected.
Well, I think you guys could do that now, like concurrently with Euros leaving and coming back.
We could either go first or last.
Either way's fine with me.
I think the shopping is the least, like, what's going to happen, I imagine, unless there's some, like, you know, we fall into a pocket dimension or something. I'm going to be sitting here looking at my spells for 10-15 minutes.
Let us do this. Let us move everybody upstairs first. Let's start there.
Yeah. Because if you get as far in your scene as to get the list of items, then you could take the time while somebody else is running their scene to decide what, if anything, you wanted to buy.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. So I go, get the manifest, and then we have a scene. The menu, as it were.
Would there be any potential for you to check if that Zentarum dude is still in the markets? Was that a thought at all, or?
I don't think we have to check. He's not there.
Oh, he's not there. Don't worry about it.
In fact, you may find him in the jail.
That is more likely, yes.
Oh god, think of the discount we could get if we rescue him.
Across the table, I see that it says Alex's right severed hand. Did you just take the hand or the whole arm?
It's whatever she chopped off.
Okay, I didn't know if you disfigured it further or not.
No, it's not disfigured further. It is pretty nasty by now, though.
All right, why don't we send you off?
Okay. How are the vibes up here in this room?
Tense. You sense that this is a pot boiling with a top on.
I have a question. Is that the infirmary I see now?
Yes, you now see,
Nice.
instead of stairs leading downward, this was potentially a place where eye implantation could take place, but a couch served more than well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
But yes, now instead of stairs leading down to an infirmary, as you've noticed the entire time, the infirmary was simply here off to the southeast side. Remember? Of course you do. Great.
All right, off with you.
All right, let us be off, Spider One.
Why don't we do that first? One moment. Euros. You drop nothing gold off at the corner of the jail on West Rose Boulevard. You see two flaming fist fire sworn in the road. Euros, they nod to you and do not notice anything out of the ordinary as you open your palm and let the spider fall from it. Inside the wall, you can see the silhouette of a warcaster sleeping on the bench outside. Next to the statue is the Arabellan city guard that you've interacted with several times. Euros, you return to the temple. Nothing gold. It's your action.
All right. So this corner up here.
Yes. You observe that these walls are 10 feet high. You cannot see over them, especially not as a spider. The stone used for the walls is heavy, thick limestone laid here hundreds of years ago by humans who sought to put other humans in cruel captivity.
What can she hear?
You hear, particularly from the distant southwest largest building, you hear the sound of a wet cough echoing through a small building. One wet cough summons several other suppurating expulsions of phlegm. Disease spreads.
Okay. She will head up a little bit. Well, are these guards up here in front doing anything?
They're having a quiet conversation. They're small talking. You get the sense that they've been on duty for quite some time. It's been a long day for the Flaming Fist.
She will head up this way a little bit and then look for a good place on the walls to start climbing up.
You can, with your tiny, hair-covered legs, easily go up any point on the wall here. There is heavy black smoke coming from the closest building.
Okay, and then scale up. What's at the top of the wall?
Moss and ancient gravel from where rain has fallen on the limestone.
No barbed wire.
Correct. It is.
Okay.
It is the method of keeping prisoners inside is simply it is a high, smooth wall. It would be difficult or impossible to scale.
All right, she will climb back down the other way.
You do so. Technically, you have arrived in prison.
Hooray, jailed. But not the first, nor will it probably be the last time. Okay.
The building next to you seems relatively quiet, but there is smoke coming from the sole chimney.
Are there any windows, or it's just...
No, there are no windows.
Alright, I guess follow this wall around to the corner and look for... So compared to these two buildings, so now she's in the corridor between the one with the chimney and the one without. Is this one south of her fancier in some way?
You sense that it is different in some way. Sizing it up, you get the impression that this may be a guardhouse and not a place to hold prisoners.
Okay, well, a guardhouse could have a list of prisoners, so let's see if there's a nice, easy way to enter it.
There is a barricaded door to your direct south here. It looks like it may have been open at some point, but it is currently nailed shut. Perhaps they're
Nailed shut.
perhaps they're preparing for something.
Okay, it's very well nailed shut. There's no gaps between.
I suppose you're a tiny spider. I think a tiny spider could probably find a way under the door. One moment.
With the flexible spider body.
You see something. This looks to you to be a guard barracks. There's a single guard here, and she is quietly reading a book with no dust jacket. When you enter the room, she looks up for a moment as if she can sense something, but then quickly goes back to her book.
Do I see the source of the smoke?
Yes, there is a small fireplace that she is sitting next to. She is warming herself by the fire. It's in the southeast corner.
Okay, and then this just looks like guards live here.
That's the impression that you get. There are multiple beds. There is a small table that's been used as a galley and left relatively uncleaned. There's crumbs all over the table that seem massive to you as a spider.
No documentation or paperwork or anything official looking. Like no organization is being done or administration necessarily in this specific part of the jail.
You do not see anything that looks particularly like an important document or something that would, for example, be a manifest of a list of prisoners. You do see a massive rat runs just past you, seeming not to see you.
Good. You should be running, rat. Alright, I don't think she's gonna waste too much time in here given the invisibility spell, so she'll duck back out.
One moment.
One guard. I'll take a note of that.
So far, you've seen a total of 4. And there were how many beds in there? Do you remember? I hope you do. Once again, you find yourself in the chilly night air of Arabel.
Alright, I'm most curious about this other big building, but kind of she will be wary of this guard that's at the end of this corridor here.
You sense that you are wary with good reason. This guard is wearing a red robe.
What's he doing? Is he alert? Is he looking snoozy?
He's not looking snoozy. He is looking alert. He's gazing toward the north gate as if he's waiting for something. Currently, his weight is rested on his two-handed staff.
Okay. Alright, let's go find some other information before we trip this trap dude. She'll go duck into this house over here.
A moment. This is a small cell block. You get the impression this is set up for interrogation. There are two anxious-looking elven prisoners here. Both are wearing exotic-looking clothing, and you get the impression both were placed here recently. They are speaking in hushed tones to each other in Elvish.
Do they look damaged?
They
Injured?
A bit, yes. They look like they've been beaten up, but perhaps not injured with, for example, bladed weapons.
Okay. And then as far as, like, what's the actual lock on situation on this cell like?
There is a heavy steel lock preventing the bars from moving. The steel lock appears to be keyed. You assume that if you had the right key, this would be trivial to open.
Okay. She doesn't understand Elvish, unfortunately, so she'll duck out and go check out this other, probably another interrogation cell.
One moment. Actually, I think... This is another interrogation room. You can see your friend Kamar. She has a leather gag in her mouth. Avery is standing in front of her. He is using the message spell between questions to allow her to answer with her mind while she is gagged. She looks significantly worse for wear. There is a large purple bruise on her right cheekbone. Avery is holding a mace that looks more like a torch. The head is radiant and crimson, and licks of fire produce waves of heat that distort the air. While you watch, he asks a question and then uses the message spell to allow her to answer. He says, "Where's the priestess of Sirik?" He sighs in frustration and rubs his forehead. Says, "Are you hiding Maris? Where is she?" When she doesn't answer, he puts the mace close to her face. "Would you rather have this or the headman's axe? Why are you communicating with the Black Network?" She shakes her head and struggles against the gag.
Alright, well, good news, she's here. Bad news, I really don't want to leave her like this.
Avery strikes her with the mace. "Where is the priestess of Sirik? What did you do with Maris?" He snarls and shakes her. "Where is she? We know she's not here." I said, "Where is she?" You find yourself standing next to the executioner. He's holding a halberd. As Avery brutalizes his prisoner, the executioner's hands tighten around the halberd. "What's the last message you received from anybody in the Zentarum?" Kamar shakes her head, spitting against the leather gag in her mouth. Avery's mace crackles with fire.
Can she approach Avery and maybe... Do either one of these have keys? Like, what do they have on them?
You see that Avery is wearing heavy plate mail armor. He has a steel gorget that protects his neck. In addition to the mace in his hand, there's a dagger on his left hip. You see a small, what you assume is a coin purse. No obvious keys. Something that you know is that many military officers have an aide-de-camp who controls mundane functions like hold these keys, bring me a meal, help me find somewhere to go to the bathroom. If you could find Avery's assistant, perhaps they would have the keys. But
Okay.
you see no obvious location for this person.
Yeah, she'll duck out for now.
One moment.
Damn.
You find yourself in the cool night air once again. From just over your little spider thorax behind you, you hear the sound of Kamar getting hit in the stomach.
She's gonna go scurry back to this guardhouse and check on this guard that's reading the book that she saw in there.
That guard is still reading the book. We won't flip to the map. Nothing has changed. She's perhaps a few more pages along in her novel. There is no dust jacket, and there's no imprint on the spine. You're not sure what book it is. Would you like a moment to ferment a plan of action while we
Yes.
flip
Yes, that would be good.
to other people? Yes. How about Taldrid, Ada, and Euros? Now that you have profaned the natural world, dare you venture to see an artifact dealer who has an odd affect himself?
Okay, I will not stand for this any further. Okay, this hypocrisy. Helm, like the all-seeing. I just help somebody see, and he's got a problem with it. What a bunch of bullshit.
Two matters of order before we walk out of this place. One, Taldrid, how do you feel ethically about me using Distort Value? The spell that increases or decreases the value of items, which is inherently dishonest.
We are literally trying to save the world. There's a reason why the gods allow us to repent.
Okay. I don't think the gods are watching, if I'm being honest.
Some still are.
What are the items that nothing gold left? Maybe we could hawk one or two.
I think they're on the front page of the manifest. It is the Gem of Contingency, the Grave of Grint +3, and the Obsessor +3, as well as Salmon. You want to sell that? I'm pretty sure that's still pretty good.
The salmon fetches the highest price.
Okay, we should take these... okay, I don't want to sell this Gem of Contingency. This thing is fucking insane.
Yeah, it is.
Imagine casting 2 fireballs in 1 round.
Well, it was also the thing that did time stop that caused Ada to,
Well, I can't put time stop inside of this thing, but I can put fireball.
Yet.
Yeah, but what if you're a true gamer and you don't have to rely on Game Shark Ring?
Listen, we're not going to sell that, but nobody wants this armor. And you martial types have already gotten all of your gear, so let's take the armor and the dagger. Euros, you don't want this dagger, right?
You said you didn't like it, so I don't mind.
It's just a tool.
That's fine. I have another dagger. They both do the same thing. And if this one makes you more comfortable, then get rid of the other one.
You are the least weapon-interested martial type I have ever seen.
What's the problem with that? A weapon's a weapon. It doesn't matter.
I'll look at Taldred and kind of shake my head and see what Taldred's response is.
Taldred says, "My favorite weapons think for themselves."
All right, we'll sell it. Let's sell this metal. Get it out of here. So I'm going to grasp the dagger. I'm going to... The armor's a little heavy for me. I'm going to try and lift it up and make a scene of... Would one of you gentlemen like to help?
I'll let you try for yourself for a second.
Okay, I'm not taking this. Please lift it up for me.
Alright, I'll lift up the armor.
Okay, so whenever we're ready.
Are you?
I am.
Euros?
Euros,
Taldred?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One moment. You quickly arrive at the shop across the road from the temple. Prime Materiel. However, as you approach, the shopkeep is already at the door. The door is cracked, and he looks out toward the three of you. Martin's eye peers at you through the crack of the door. Euros, he looks at you. He looks despondent. Oh, come on, man. I can't afford to pay you guys what you asked. You're putting me out of business, man.
Hey, different guys. We're here to do legitimate business.
That's what the Fist always says, man. It's legitimate business, and then you're going to tax me out of my health and home.
Taldred steps in front of Euros and he goes, "That's right, we're actual customers, sir."
Oh, my God. I don't know what to do with you guys. He seems incredibly out of it.
How about you sell us some goods, then?
You're not with the Flaming Fist, man?
No.
Oh, my God. He pushes his cheek into his hand. After a long moment, he swings open the door. It's as if the light of the torches is a bit much for him. Fine, just close the door behind you.
I'll hold the door for Ada.
I'll come through.
Martin picks up a paper with an official-looking seal on it. He waves it toward the three of you. Look at this, man. What are unrealized gains? How can you tax me on that? It doesn't even make sense. The Flaming Fist are a bunch of crooks. It's completely ridiculous. None of it makes any sense at all, man. I can't afford to pay them.
I totally understand. Here we are, with coin and goods to barter and trade.
Fine. What do you have? What do you want?
I am looking for scrolls.
Oh. Scrolls. Cool, man.
I'm not a man. And can I see a list?
Sounds good, man. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, 1 second. I mean, I don't know. If you need a scroll, I can just get you whatever. I mean, what? Why do you need a list, man?
Oh, well, I don't know how you organize your goods in the shop. You can just explain them to me however you want to get the information to me.
You quickly realize that there is no method of organization for the goods in this shop, as just simply gazing around the room, there is a irregular display of strange curiosities on every shelf there is. There is no method of organization, and you wonder how he came upon such valuable items. This is still Prime Material Phase 1. Do you need that list again?
Let me look for it. I still have it.
Yes, it's about... go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, these are wonderful items for sure. I was looking for scrolls. Can you point me to where in the shop I might find them?
There is a bookshelf stuffed with a number of scrolls, many yellowing, some graying. If you're looking for something in particular, I could help you find it, but it really just depends what you want, I guess.
Well,
I mean, the flaming fit, it doesn't even make sense, man. They're gonna tax me on things I didn't even sell yet. He slams the paper on the table. It's so frustrating, man. How am I gonna stay in business? Everything about his countenance suggests that he has a headache.
I'm going to walk over to the bookshelf and just look at the scrolls. I'm going to thumb through them. What will I find in general?
You will find a varied array of arcane scrolls. You can find most mundane spells. As you get above level 5 spells, it becomes a little spotty. What spell are you looking for in particular, Ada Worthware?
The first thing I'm looking for is anything at level 6. Because I don't have a level 6 spell and I can cast them.
Roll me a d4.
Two.
One moment. You find 3 spell scrolls. Each of them is marked with a price tag. They're 500 gold each. There is Sunbeam, Soul Cage, and Tensor's Transformation.
Very good. I assume I find virtually anything I'm looking for level 5 and below, and you don't have a list.
That is correct. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Can I ask what the price on scrolls below level 6 are?
It is the spell -1. The spell level -1 times 100. Level 1 spells are 50 gold each.
Got it. Very good. Tulgert.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'd like to try and barter.
What's your budget like?
I think probably, I don't know, I'm probably not going to spend more than $3 grand.
Okay.
I could if necessary. I mean, it's always useful to have more tools, but I assume we can spread out the value somewhere.
Could I see the scrolls?
Say again.
Could I see the scrolls? That was actually at Ada, because I assume he's
Sure,
holding,
yeah.
she's holding them.
I'll, beckon you over, and I'll say, well, here's Sunray, Tensor's Transformation. I'm not really sure how useful that's going to be. And Soul Cage. Tensor's Transformation could be pretty impressive.
Hey, Flaming Fist guy, do you feel good about putting hardworking people out of business? Does that make you feel good?
Not my purview, but I imagine it doesn't feel good.
Martin looks frustrated and sinks back into his chair.
Taldred takes the scrolls and he brings them to Martin. He says, "Hey there, champ. How much for these?"
Oh, what do you have there? What do you have there? What scrolls are we attempting to purchase? Those three?
Yeah,
At 500 apiece, is that right?
I don't know yet.
Take your time. Do you want to shift gears for a second while you guys figure out your commercial
Please.
dealings?
Please, yes.
One moment. Gastmere and Brenner. You hear an argument developing. Familiar voices. You listen to the practical matters that are now taking place 16 hours after the attack. In addition to the argument, you see bodies being tended to by a lone acolyte. There's not much to bury. It's unclear what's being done with the ashes. The temple suddenly feels very large and empty. It is such that when you hear the tenor of the argument rising, it echoes throughout. It sounds like the three paladins and Forbes are going at it.
Do you think that will require intervening?
Probably.
Should we perhaps... I hate to suggest this because this isn't very ladylike, but perhaps we should eavesdrop a moment.
I think that's probably the best case, yeah. Brenner will... He'll motion for you to go first.
Maybe we'll shimmy over. Are we downstairs, upstairs? I have no idea. We'll head there.
It looks like we're next to his office.
You
So I think...
Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
No, I think we're gonna press against the wall like outside and try and eavesdrop a little bit. See what's going on first.
You do so, overhearing an argument. You hear a familiar voice. They just swept up Smithfield's ashes. Samantha snarls. I think it's time to start being realistic. Forbes says, the fist is merely a distraction. I would think that regardless of whether or not you believe in any prophecies, the simple calculus of the world suggests that the Zentarim should be stopped regardless. Whether there are red or purple or black banners flying outside is irrelevant. Skylar says, I don't think we can take on the fist. That's just my realistic assessment. Paul says, what are we even proposing? Fighting all 120 of them with 4 of us? Eventually, they will come up with reasons for all of us to be in jail. That's what people like them do. We have to stop them now, not later. Forbes sighs heavily. Helm is watching over you. Please do your best to go to sleep. You continue to eavesdrop.
Does it seem like some of them might be leaving, or do they carry on with the argument?
Oh, they're carrying on with the argument. Forbes is trying to get them to go to sleep. The paladins seem unbothered. I'm here fighting for my country. This was the last free city of Cormyr. The fist has to go. Paul asks her, what are you actually proposing? We go along with them. You smile and nod until there's an opportunity to kill their leaders. We smile and nod until we see an opening, then we go. I think this is all merely a distraction. I think you're wasting your efforts fighting the fist when you should be preparing to fight the Zent.
Jasmine lifts an eyebrow at Brenna. Shall we join the conversation?
We'll push the door with enough force to make it apparent that he's barging it.
The door creaks open, and 4 sets of eyeballs stare at you.
Couldn't help it over here. I don't
Yes.
entirely
Seems-
disagree with parts of your argument.
Seems a conversation where you had people available to join in. So
Well-
it's not merely the 4 of you.
You are certainly stakeholders in this along with us. So, yes, it is no problem should you wish to weigh in. I hope that you can help my friends see the voice of reason. Samantha crosses her arms. I think it's perfectly reasonable to not want to live under tyrants.
To that much I agree. Say you do kill him. What then? You cut him down in his sleep.
Do you think the fist will stay hid if no one's paying them? They're sellswords, mercenaries. It's not hard.
Do you think they would just leave?
I don't think they would just leave, but I think they'd be far less focused. I think that if your commanders die, you're not going to be in the field doing exercises, so to speak. What do you think? That they take it out on the town?
100%.
I doubt it.
You're looking at a people who come in, find a void of power, which is exactly where we're at right now. You have a commander that died. Somebody that's there to tell them not to loot and pillage everything on the side of the road. Do you not think they're going to try to make up the difference?
So what then? Fine. So do you not think we're going to be looted and pillaged in slow motion?
Slow
What-
motion's more preferable, yeah.
Is it?
It
The-
gives us a chance to deal with whatever's going to happen to the end of the month, right? You cause an all-out incursion right here, right now. Do you not think they're going to send an entire inquisition towards them?
I don't think they have the troops. I think whoever they sent is here. I don't think there's a reserve waiting in the field. We stop them now before they dig their claws in. It's that
All right.
simple.
So you have the 3 of you, and let's just say that we agree. Us. Here is a fortune. Are we going to fight them all?
We don't need to fight them all.
Surely they have some manner of a command structure that extends beyond these 2 people. So, if those 2 happen to disappear, there is the option that whoever might rise to charge could be intimidated into leaving with the rest of them after that.
Aye. Exactly. Forbes sighs and puts his head down. I'm just not so sure it's going to be that easy.
Nothing is ever easy. But we didn't join this cause to stand around in inaction, now did we?
Paul looks at you with a puzzled expression. I'm just not so sure that the actions we have available to us are still rational. Not to mention, what we're discussing is truly assassination. Are you really okay with that? We haven't even tried negotiating with them yet, really. They came in our temple. They didn't steal anything. They didn't kill anybody. Forbes says, well, actually, I think they may have stolen a few things. But they would probably
Yes.
call it evidence.
Yes, they have quite a few titles for these things that they are taking. And did you happen to forget what we were hired to do.
Samantha answers for Forbes. No, I remember.
Should we negotiate with Mr. Fang as well?
Definitely not. That is what I'm saying. I am with you. We are past the point of negotiation. There is no question that the only option that is left for us, unfortunately, is violent. We didn't ask for this.
Past the point of playing coy as well, Miss Ruthenberg. You were happy to see them, and your mind has changed.
She shakes her head a little bit. I don't think we should tell them that we're coming for them. I think, as I said, we smile and nod. We be outwardly friendly to them, but certainly they won't see it when we come for them.
Assuming nobody sells us out, that is.
Skylar looks at you with a curious expression. What's that supposed to mean? Is that a threat?
Oh, I'm merely wondering if all of us can be trusted.
Who don't you trust? And why?
As I said, there have been some curiosities in Miss Ruthenberg's behaviour. I would like to be on her side. I would like to be on her team. I think we have quite a few similar thoughts.
When you express doubt in her brow quivers noticeably. I'd like to think we're on the same team. Believe it or not, I actually have much faith in you and your companions. I have a funny feeling that this one, he points toward Brenner, would always do the right thing. I'd like to think I carry myself the same way as well.
Well, I rather think that the final decision should be made once the rest of our group is here as well. But can we promise that nobody does anything hasty until then?
They look between them. Samantha sighs. I can agree to that for tonight. Tomorrow, no promises.
So be it then.
Yes, I'm sure we'll decide whether we are to run as a pack by then.
Let's be sure not to sell anyone else out for an early grave, right?
Why don't you hold that thought about the early grave? Finding someone with one leg in their spidery grave. Nothing gold. You stalk the night as a spider.
Yes, so we are checking in with this guard that we've seen just relaxing, reading some nameless book in the guardhouse. I assume it's not easy to see whether she's currently holding a key ring.
She's not. You have had ample time to study her possessions. Unless it's in her bag.
Where's her bag?
On her back. It's a small knapsack slung over her left shoulder.
Did the fists have, I mean, maybe she wouldn't know this, but they have emblems, right, that signify their rank?
They do.
I think she would have seen Yoros's at least. Does this guard have any similar?
You are not intimately familiar with the ranks of the Flaming Fist. However, what you can do is do a bit of inference, assuming that the more detailed and the more ornate the insignia, surely the higher rank of the soldier. You get the impression that Euros outranks this poor guard.
Alright, tucking that away for later. There was a rat here earlier. She's gonna take some crumbs. And we're gonna do something stupid. Because I have not come up with a better plan yet. But we're gonna take some crumbs, which are tiny objects, and we're gonna scale up to the roof of this house. Now, the text for invisibility says that it breaks if you attack or cast a spell. And what she is going to do is use a feature of Artificer, which is to imbue an object, a tiny object, with a salient effect.
Some quality, yes, I'm with you.
Some quality. So using these crumbs, she would like to imbue it with a non-verbal noise, and it's going to be, again on top of the roof of this guardhouse, a baby crying, because surely there's some good in these guards, right? Anybody would be freaked out to hear a baby screaming and crying on top of a roof.
In the middle of the night, no less? Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
You, to make sure I understand your intentions, you
Yes.
imbue these tiny crumbs of ancient cornbread, stale and desiccated, with an echoing sound of a baby crying up here on
Yes.
top of the roof.
Yes.
You do so. The cries echo through the night. They cut through the cold night air. From down below, you see the Warcaster peering up. Says, "Hello?"
And then just scramble down off the roof, leaving the crumbs there, where they will continue to go in perpetuity.
You hear the Warcaster call it again. "Envir? Lieutenant? What?" He seems immediately suspicious of this. The guard comes out of the room and looks up with him. Both guards are now gazing skyward, trying to figure out the source of this noise. The two look between each other. Should we get the major? The Warcaster casts a spell. You have a funny feeling, Spider Gold, that you are being detected.
Alright, well, invisibility does show up on detect magic, so fine.
We'll come back to you in one moment. Here in Prime Materiel, Martin is leaning back in his chair. There's a thin line of drool coming out of the corner of his mouth.
I will nudge Taldred, and you can see in the chat. Well, see ya. You can see in the chat the my grocery list. It's a little over what I estimated. Is this all available, GM?
One moment.
I can pare some of these down as well. Or I can add some too. I didn't add some. I might have wanted.
This looks good. This is all reasonably available. This is within the library of Prime Material. You can purchase all these spells. You have a massive pile of scrolls here.
I do.
For starters, Taldred turns to Yoros and he says, Yoros, would you mind stepping outside for a moment? I think this guy would be less agitated if you weren't in the room when I tried to talk down the price, if you understand.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'll hand you this dagger I have with me. Can you see if you can trade this for that sword? Short sword?
Oh, sure. I'll do my best.
Thanks. Alright, good luck, you two. I will just casually stroll out, and I will just hang out to the side of the door. And moving that dagger into the party.
Thank you.
Let me double check it real quick. It's the Defiant one, that's the one?
Correct. Yaris will just ask you to simply just train, see if you can trade it for the short sword.
Gotcha. Okay. Taldred approaches with the scrolls, and he lays them out. He says, all right, sir, tell me, how much for these?
He leafs through them. He seems very familiar with his wares. He goes through them one by one and mentally totals them up.
I put the total on my post.
Thank you. And your math looks good to me. He writes down a price, totaling it as he goes. Okay, guys, where'd your friend go?
Look.
What's... You know, the Flaming Fist, they come in here, man. They think they can just take people's money. They're taking food out of my mouth, man.
I know, it's terrible, but...
It's completely ridiculous.
Listen.
I don't know how anybody's supposed to make a living when they come in here, they ride their horses, they don't even clean up after themselves, man.
We are actually with a group that are trying to remove the Flaming Fist from the city.
He looks up, suddenly very interested. Oh, no way. Really?
You're not the only person they're putting the squeeze on.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad you're doing... There's going to be so many people that are thankful if you can do that. You ever been toasted before?
How? What? Taldred says, now listen, it would be a lot easier to remove them from the city with the help of these scrolls, but the price seems kinda high, especially considering there aren't many casters out there these days.
Well, that's exactly it. It's low supply and high demand. There's just not many people out there that still need these. You know what I'm saying?
No, you mean low demand. There's not many people
No.
demanding them.
There's high demand, man. Look. There's only a handful of them left, and most of them are really rich, dude.
I don't think that's true.
What about... He looks like he's having trouble focusing on Ada Worthware. What about her? I can tell she's got a lot of money. I heard people saying that she was like a big politician. You know that the politicians have all the money. Don't you know that?
To my knowledge, she's not a politician. She is my adventuring companion, all right?
That's not what I heard people saying.
Well, you want to know what I'm saying? And Taldred picks up one of the scrolls, and he starts, like, flipping the paper on it. He says, "Did you write these on toilet paper? I think that would be kind of ironic, because I wouldn't even wipe my ass with these."
What's your problem? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the quality of these scrolls, and you're demanding top price for them.
I'm just trying to make a living out here. How could you do that to me?
And I would like to help you continue make a living, all right? But
Well, what are you proposing? What's the point of this? This
I
is
would like
such
to
a
give
long
you-
night, man. I can't believe it.
Well, let's make it shorter. I would like to give you 2,500 gold for these scrolls.
Roll persuasion.
Don't mind if I do. $18.
Martin looks out the dark window into the city. He says, okay, fine. 2,500, that's fine. It's real gold, right? I remember you. You were trying to give me Electrum coins, man.
What? No, I wasn't. I didn't even come into this store. How do you
Don't-
know about
don't-
my Electrum?
Don't I know you?
I mean, many people knowed me, champ.
Haven't I met you before somewhere?
God, have they?
You look really familiar.
I would hope so. There's very few people this handsome. There's nobody this handsome.
I do know you. You've been... Oh, fine. You get the impression he's holding something back. Okay, fine. Do you have the gold?
Do you know me?
I think I do know you.
Go ahead.
You've been kicked out of a lot of establishments, haven't you? There's
I
a lot...
beg your pardon?
There's a lot of people that might not want you around. You have a bit of a reputation.
I absolutely have a reputation, but what kind of reputation are you talking about?
I've heard a lot of things about you, and now you're walking around with that one. Like I said, I know that she was into politics. All those people are all the same, man. You guys, I think you're trouble.
That's not very open-minded of you, sir. And you seem like the kind of gentleman who constantly expands his mind.
He thinks about that for a second and chooses not to argue it. Look, fine. Okay, do you have the gold? I think you guys are just messing with me. And where'd that
Aldrin.
flaming fist guy go? I saw him come in here. What's he
Yes.
gonna do? Take my unrealized gains?
No, no one's going to be taking your unrealized gains, sir. Not if I have anything to say about it.
I thought you said you were here to stop the fist. What does
Yes, but
any
now
of
we
this...
are.
What does this have to do with anything?
Well, it's easier to stop the fist when you're well supplied.
Supplied? With what?
Would you not talk so loud, sir?
He seems rather scatterbrained.
Taldred makes a motion from behind with his hand, indicating to Ada to hand him the 2,500 gold.
Do I have the gold?
What? You better! Oh my god!
You were gonna barter the items.
No, but he said we had 3,000. He said he had 3,000 gold. That's what he told me.
That's not what I
Did
said. That's not much it'll cost. I don't have any gold.
yeah? I don't think you guys had.
You are shitting me!
To my knowledge, I don't remember. I assumed this was a bluff. For the record, across the table, I thought you were bluffing.
Because I agree with this guy. Ada used to be a politician, so I was like, okay, so Loons must be walking with some gold, surely. So that's why he told me 3,000 gold. Oh my fucking god.
Euros from
The entire party.
Euros from outside, you could hear what sounds like the breakdown of negotiations. It seems like things are not going well. Why don't we revisit you guys in one moment?
Please, God.
Checking in here at the Temple of the Radiant Heart with Gastmere and Brenner.
Does it look like-
Paladins looking like they're dispersing now? Maybe.
That was my question.
You sense that things are probably diffused, if only for tonight. Samantha, Skylar, and Paul exit, leaving Forbes.
Mr. Forbes.
Yes.
You seem in good spirits.
People have always told me that regardless of the situation, I can remain in good spirits. One of my better qualities, I'd venture to say. Has anyone ever told you that regardless of the situation, you seem a bit in dour spirits? Perhaps
Yeah,
we
so
are...
multiple times.
I would like to imagine that you and Ilissa are two sides of the same coin.
Yes, I suppose it balances it out, doesn't it? Which means that we can't afford to lose you, Mr. Forbes.
He nods his head. I imagine everybody would be happy to hear that about themselves.
To that end, I
Yeah.
agree. I do have a bit of a question. Something that's been a bit pressing on my mind these last couple days, staying in your wonderful temple.
Mr. Oswick, yes.
You have many paladins under your command, correct?
Not so many anymore. Just the 3 that you just saw. Why do you ask?
Indeed. We've slept downstairs. That's the only place you can sleep here, unless you're sleeping on the grass outside. Is that correct?
There are other accommodations downstairs for the other paladins and Roger Dale and his team. Why do you ask? Did they give you trouble?
No trouble at all. Just wondering.
How wonderful to hear. Yes, there are accommodations downstairs on the south side of the temple. However, I can't imagine you would have a reason to go through their belongings or anything like that. I would imagine that the paladins would appreciate it if you would leave their accommodations alone.
I had all the intent of doing so. Wasn't aware that they slept downstairs. Every time we wake up, they're not there. Early risers, I see.
He tilts his head and nods.
And do you sleep downstairs as well, Mr. Forbes?
To tell you the truth, I've been sleeping in my office for quite a few years now. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's how I get by. I don't really require much more than simple Spartan accommodations. And plus, it always gives me comfort to be close to my work.
I suppose that's... Under these circumstances, it will have to do as a safe location.
I can't say I feel as safe as I used to here in the temple after seeing the Flaming Fist bring their war horses through here today, but it's as safe a place as any, I'd venture to say.
Safe.
Plus, to tell you the truth, I feel better knowing that you and your companions and Roger Dale and his companions are so nearby should anything occur. If anything were to occur, think of how many armed and dangerous individuals I have close by my side.
You sleep on the precipice of 2 doors. Who holds the key to the second one?
For the first time, he seems a bit closed off. Admittedly, Mr. Oswick, I didn't anticipate so many questions about where I sleep and where I keep keys and things of note like that. May I ask, are you planning something?
No, you mentioned it was safe. That doesn't
Perhaps
seem safe to me at all.
Mr. Oswick may be thinking, because we are considering cutting the head off the serpent of our enemy, that somebody might do the same to you. As I said, we would rather not lose you in the midst of this.
Ah, you are suggesting that I go somewhere safer. And where would that be? I can't imagine leaving the temple necessarily.
Perhaps you should sleep downstairs with us for the time being, until our duty here is done.
Yes, I agree.
Roll persuasion. Whichever one of you feels more persuasive.
Across the table, do you have points in persuasion? Are you proficient?
I don't think I'm proficient, but I can
Aren't you
try.
negative proficient?
I have a +1, that's it.
I have rolled a 16 in total.
It's not bad.
Forbes sizes you up. He says, you know, I suppose I could be convinced to take a night off and sleep down in the barracks. It will make me feel better knowing that you can keep an eye on me. I wouldn't want to share Smithfield's fate, although I do miss him.
You. Sorry, I forgot how words work. You see that Brenner does seem very relieved at this situation. Although the question is still hanging on the back of his head.
What question?
Who's got the key to open that portal? To here.
You mean on the other side of the portal, potentially? Or I don't...
Across the table, I mean, clearly there's a portal here, there's a key that goes to it, and would lead here, hypothetically, that's why there's a portal here as well.
Right. Yes. That question
Was not answered.
Correct. That question is unanswered, and perhaps it burns in your brain.
It does. Well, for the very most, at least the two of us will be here for the rest of the night. Before I turn in, I hope to see you downstairs as well.
Once.
Yeah, still feel free to bring any of the paperwork that might make you feel more comfortable.
I think I will. I find it easy to sleep when I'm reading something. This fits. There are a number of scrolls across his desk, and his quill appears to be in regular usage. Denizens of the temple, Gasmir and Brenner, have you concluded your business with the Paladins?
I believe so. At least Brenner has. I don't know about Alyssa.
And that
Yes.
that was a nod, Ridley? Okay, good. How about Spider Gold? You can see the two Flaming Fist guards are gazing up at the roof. They're discussing amongst themselves in a hushed voice. I don't know if we should get the Major. He's interrogating a prisoner. If anything, it's probably magical. You imagine, right? A distraction. Maybe someone looking to break the prisoners out. It makes me nervous. I don't know if we should ring the bell or not, though. What if it's nothing? It's your action, NG.
Okay, well, he said interrogate, so I guess that suggests that the executioner is there for show, and that Kamar might not be in danger if I just leave. Yeah, I think the idea would just be to climb up the wall here, like perched at the top of the wall, and then I think she has to be touching the object for the effective. So it'll just continue because she left it there on the roof, and then up until the end of the invisibility spell, which I think is an hour, just sort of watch.
You spend the rest of the hour before you abscond, I
Yes.
suppose. You watch the guards steadily. You determine several things, taking the time to reconnaissance the jail. You know that this southwest building must be teeming with prisoners. You can hear coughing, crying, people begging for food and water. You hear a guard cruelly shouting and banging on the bars. In the northwest building, where you saw Kamar being tortured with the message spell and the mace, you hear a steady cadence of the interrogation. Avery keeps asking her similar questions about the Black Network, about Maris, about you. The guards eventually get a ladder, go up on the roof, and find nothing. They're unable to pin it down to your crumbs, and they seem perplexed. You have a feeling that they're on guard. Any further actions here in this area before you eventually head back to the Temple Nothing Gold?
The Zentarum dude, is he with the other prisoners in the southwest?
What's Zentarum, dude?
The guy selling things in the marketplace with the two.
There is a massive group of prisoners in there.
Gotcha.
There are no windows, and it's impossible to tell. But simply based off of voices, you think there must be, in this relatively small building, there must be dozens of people crammed in there. A teeming mass, a horde of prisoners.
Okay, yeah, she'll abscond. Nobody has keys. Damn. All right.
One moment.
Should have asked Roger Dale.
We did ask Roger Dale.
Whoops. We find ourselves once again at Prime Materiel. Martin seems peeved.
Fair enough. So what happens is that Taldred reaches back, right, and he's like waiting for the gold, and nothing happens, and he realizes Ada has the gold that sets in, and there's like that short moment of panic on his face, but then he goes, "Gold? Gold? Sir, we have something better than gold," and he holds up Grint's armor. He goes, "This right here is the armor from the legendary hero who fell in the swamps. Grunty.
Grint the Pirate Slayer. Wow, man.
Sure, that's a thing you said.
Where'd you get it?
He
Why is it
gave it to us.
It smells terrible. I thought that was you.
How dare you?
Well, what?
No, but this was his armor, sir. I assure you of that.
He inspects it. Wow.
It is worth easily tens of thousands of gold, but you've got me because I'm in a hurry to get the Flaming Fist out of this damn town.
Wow. His hands touch the dragon scales. Wow, this is real bronze dragon scale, man.
Absolutely.
This is pretty... Wow. He looks at it with covetous eyes. Okay.
I'm going to nudge Taldred. The dagger, the sword, whatever.
Yeah, and so Taldred says, now obviously this is worth way more than the scrolls. So, but if you throw that sword in, and he points to the sword that Euros wants, I would gladly consider it a fair deal.
One moment. He sizes it up and says, wow, yeah. Whatever you say. That sounds okay. Yeah. Sounds good. He is already thinking about the armor. Yeah, you can take the scrolls for this. And what, this sword? Fine.
And so he
Whatever.
seems like really taken with it. And he goes, and the dog thing. And he holds up the funny little dog artifact.
And the dog thing. Yeah. Okay. That's okay. You know what? I like you guys. I'm glad where'd that Flaming Fist guy fuck off to anyway?
Who knows? Who knows where they go? Am I right?
I hate the flame. Yeah, where do they go at night, man? Like an anthill or something? I don't even know. Like a big termite mound? God. Okay. You give me the armor. I'll give you this sword. I'll give you this pile of scrolls, even though you made fun of them. And you know what? If you want that little dog, that's okay. I've had trouble selling that little guy.
All right. Well then, Taldred shakes his hand. A done deal.
And you abscond to the temple, I assume.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We will reconcile your purchases after. Let us take our fiber and resume afterwards.
Sounds good.
bird has been fed blueberries.
Yeah. I already prepared to respond to gamer with gamer, and then you said something different. My brain short-circuited for a half second.
But I didn't say gamer.
I know, but I was prepared for you to say gamer.
Oh yeah, because I say it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I haven't taken Sammy out of the cage much today, so I just feel bad some going in there sneaking him some snacks. Because I've been working all day, so I had him out this morning when we made breakfast, and then he's just been chilling in the cage all day.
Well, it's good that you gave him some snacky.
He got 6 blueberries.
How decadent.
Yep. I gotta wipe down. Well, I can't see it from the camera, but I gotta wipe down the walls and stuff where my closet doors are. Because Sammy's been slinging blackberries everywhere when he eats it. He'll like grab the blackberry and he'll just go, and he'll just like flick it everywhere like a dog with a toy, and just the seeds and like pulp just fly everywhere.
You could probably sell those online as like Jackson Pollock animal art.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, a lot of it's also stuck on the back of the air filter. I don't know how it gets. The stupid berries get so much distance, man. I don't get it.
Yeah, that ain't good.
But this office is a fucking wreck, man.
It doesn't look that bad.
From up here, the carpet is just covered in birdseed, though. Like, the parakeets have been kicking out their birdseed from the bowl again. So there's just like a small pile of birdseed on the floor from them kicking out almost the whole bowl every day. I don't know what to do to stop them. I've tried so many different things. And then Sammy just, he'll just sometimes throw out like sunflower seeds or something like that when he's done eating it. Or he'll sling like the berries everywhere and all this other shit. It's pretty fun though. I will have to bring him on webcam eventually so you can meet him.
You should.
It's been a while since I've been screamed at.
It's been a while.
He actually doesn't scream that much.
Franful.
It is unfortunately the state of my brain at all times.
Yeah, it's either that or Breakfast at Tiffany.
Thankfully, it's not inundated my brain for a while. Thank God.
Name that band.
Breakfast at Tiffany's? I have no idea.
They're a one-hit wonder, and I own their album.
It was for like a solid decade. It was just the only song that would get stuck in my head. I don't know why. I kind of hate it for it. Also, to enable my want for this manifest to be clean, I'm going to delete the cursed plate mail. We should move the gem of contingency to Ada's character sheet.
Yes, if you...
Oh, you're not giving it back?
I think we all just... Or unless you want it, I don't know. I believe that Albert has both the Blackdown and the Schematics life support system thing. I believe that is true, and that we ended up keeping Defiant and Obsessor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yep. So I shall be.
Taldred, I'm going to thank you, by the way.
No problem. It's what I do.
How many weapons can I put on my thing?
Like on your belt?
Yeah.
Depends on the size of the weapon. Like broadswords or something might be tough. Daggers, you could have like 2 or 3 daggers. I don't see why not.
I just put both daggers and that short sword on my belt since my main sword isn't in existence. And then the long sword on the right side.
Sounds good. And you are visibly well armed now. You cast a long shadow.
Okay, wait. So Euros has multiple daggers on his belt. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll put both daggers and the short sword on the belt.
So you might not even notice it, but Taldred takes note of like where he has them placed on his belt, and he moves his dagger to his belt, and he just kind of like nods. He's like, "Yeah, that looks right." Okay.
you establish a uniformity. Everybody ready to resume? Your threads converge back here at the Temple of the Radiant Hearts, where you arrive one at a time, converging here in the safe house. It must be getting very late at night.
I'm ready to sleep. Nothing gold. A quick
Yeah.
rundown. What did you find?
There are... Sorry, yes, I found my informant. She's there in the jail. There are 2 elvish prisoners as well as a dozen or so assorted people being held across 3 buildings. The major was there, so was an executioner. There were 3 guards, 4 guards, one of them a spellcaster. Everything's locked, as you can imagine.
Anything actionable?
If you wanted to go there right now, sure.
I don't think we're in the position to go there right now.
I think that it should be the first thing we should do in the morning.
At the very least, we know where she is. And allegedly, we have the backup to break her out.
Yes, and for every 10 minutes, she's taking another blow to the face, so...
Could assume as much.
Well, the longer she holds out...
So sleep well.
I'm sorry, what does that mean?
You heard me.
I did, but I want you to say it straightforwardly.
I'm not going to sleep well tonight.
Yeah. Well, we can run up there tomorrow. I doubt they'll execute her while she holds back information.
Yes, the Major seems specifically interested in Maris, which I assume because we told him that she was responsible for the terrorist attack this morning.
Paladins here appear to be eager to take action as well. However, I still do not trust one of them. If we involve them in the action, my advice is that we only give them a heads up immediately before something is about to happen, not beforehand, so that one of them can scurry off to Ratazov.
You're talking about the Paladins.
Yes,
How did
they
that
were
go?
arguing with Forbes.
It seems that Samantha is pressing oh so hard for the same plot as us.
Why? What? Why?
Great question.
That is what I was trying to determine as well. Perhaps something has gone sour.
Or maybe it's a setup. Did you agree to the terms?
We diffused it as much as we could for today. And they were willing to go travel out there tonight and do it.
Travel out. You mean to the prison to kill the Major?
I don't even know if they knew he was in the prison.
I'm sorry, what are we doing?
No, nothing. I gather we're just talking.
Seems to be the case.
Okay, I just wasn't. Yeah, okay. Sometimes my hearing isn't the best, so.
The other 2 were not so pressed into the matter. They don't particularly want to go ahead with that. Neither did Forbes. We've convinced him to sleep down here with us tonight. I think that's the best choice, all things considered. Forbes, that is.
Maybe the other 2 paladins could be persuaded into action if we did desire them to do so. But as I said, I would rather not give them too much of a heads up, simply because I'm not quite sure which ones of them can be trusted.
Should we take turns with watch tonight?
Perhaps.
Probably.
I need the night to study these scrolls.
Go ahead.
And I need my beauty sleep.
Are you implying that you're not beautiful enough already?
Oh, you got me.
Everybody could use a little polishing up.
Alright,
Stan,
so... Go ahead.
I have come to an additional question. The portal upstairs. There's a key that comes here, right?
You would
So-
assume.
Is there?
Didn't he say
I
one way?
I thought no, I thought the location was tied to the key itself, so that if there is a key that comes here, there could be, but I don't see why anybody would make one.
So your understanding is that in Zental Keep, the seat of subterfuge in the realms, there is a portal drawn on the ground, and they're just cool with it being there? They never
There.
use it, question it, or guard it?
No, obviously the spy master uses it himself to travel without his comings and goings being noted. If he were to travel overland, that would create a paper trail.
I assume they could come here right now.
That's what I'm asking. Who holds the
would
key?
they?
Why would
Why-
you make a door in a lavish temple? They clearly spent a lot of money and a lot of magical power to put that thing there. Somebody did, way before us. You make a key for a door, right?
I'm saying the Zent can get here if they want to.
Anybody could, yes.
Well, I imagine if I were Tierney Fang, I wouldn't have a door with a question mark on it. I would know exactly where it could go, and I would go there. If
That's
I
all I'm
wanted
saying.
to, that is. Yeah.
I think perhaps we're confusing each other with the mechanics of the portal. He would have to intend to come here.
He certainly knows about it.
He would need the key, though. How would he get the key?
Of course he has it.
A key
makes
can
you
be
so sure?
created.
Portal key, yes, so the way portals work is you can have multiple keys. The key merely unlocks the arcane mystery of where point A and point B. Of course, one portal can serve a large network, but I would assume that the Zent know exactly where their portal goes, and they just have no interest in coming here, or they want us to go there. Seems
But,
more likely.
To that end, they probably know we're coming.
Of course they do. This was not a secret. We're some of the most identifiable people in the Free Realms.
What if the portal's just placed above a volcano and everybody just falls in? And that's why they're not worried.
Could
Oh,
you
you're certain-
not?
That's...
Let's not think about that. More so, I'm saying we're sleeping underneath a door that anyone can walk through. We're not just worried about the Fist or the Zen. Anyone that knows that this is happening and they want to stop it can walk through that door so long as they held that key.
That's right.
That's a problem.
That's a problem, but I think the Zent are the bigger problem.
Sure.
Can I ask you something?
You already have.
Okay. So, he always keeps that portal pad clean, right? Can't you just put something on top of it?
Well, you can certainly ambush people coming out of a portal, but
Well, no, I mean, like, the portal has to open up on that platform, right? What if you just put stuff on the platform so it can't open?
if the portal's obstructed, it won't work.
That's what I'm saying.
Or maybe more, depending on the manufacturer of it, it would vaporize anything you put in its path.
Right.
Or maybe send it to some realm, some plane.
I mean, I was just thinking along lines when you put, like, a door stopper on the door.
I think
And you just put
Yoros's idea
Portal
has
stopper
some
on
merit.
the portal.
A lot of magical effects can be interrupted or interfered with a mere length of lead.
A better angle may be try this foolish idea and see how Walter Forbes reacts.
I mean, could we just put his desk on top of it?
I assumed if it was so dangerous, then Forbes wouldn't have put it in his office.
I mean, Did he put it in his office, or did he put his office around it?
We could inspect it, but I would guess the Temple of Helm predates the portal.
Well, he's not going to be in his office tonight. If you want to take a look, feel free.
I feel like we should be well rested for tomorrow.
I mean,
I agree.
I wouldn't mind putting some barrels on it or something just to see what happens.
You know what? Yoros, go for it.
All right.
As it stands, who's watching?
I can stand watch for a little bit.
I can go first and work on your armor, Brenner Oswick.
Sounds good.
Did you find your friend?
What have we done? Yours.
Yeah. Sorry, I got caught up in the portal talking. I didn't catch the first time.
You probably need more sleep than the rest of it. I'll take
don't-
watch after nothing gold.
I don't think 8 hours is enough, Brenner.
I know. Yoros, you can make yourself useful. So he starts to. He pats his chest plate. Help me get out of this thing.
Is it standard issue armor, I take it, with...
Yeah, it's just like straps and stuff. He needs you to help you get out of it.
Yeah, it's fine, that's easy.
He will pass it off to nothing gold.
It's probably comically big next to her as she takes it, but
Yeah. You can wake me up and I'll take watch afterward.
alright.
Hopefully this keeps your mind off of things. Make sure to get as much sleep as you can. I have a busy day tomorrow.
Could I have your watch roll one more time? So I'm sorry. Nothing gold, Brenner, Yoros. Is that correct? Any fourth person?
Somebody can take a watch as well.
With 4 people on watch, that means 2 people get a full night's sleep. 4 people are going to be a bit tired tomorrow, but you'll have watch throughout the night. Is that right? Okay. Everyone long resting. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
I want to go put the barrels on the thing first.
Where will you get the barrels? Well, barrels of what?
There's some down here, up in the top part. I can just carry some upstairs.
You spend some time taking barrels of water, some empty, some not, and piling them on the portal. Forbes is not there to stop you. The barrels seem particularly inanimate. You look at them, wondering if they'll prevent or accomplish anything. The barrels offer no answers.
With my experiment done, I then go lay down.
Taldred is going to take a bath first. Very important. And when he does, he is going to cast a ritual. He's going to cast Commune.
Tell me
yes.
about the questions you're asking. Go ahead.
So,
You contact your deity. You contact Selune. Is that correct?
that's right.
And you're getting 3 questions where you get a brief yes or no or a simple kind of to the point answer.
Yeah.
And you may get an unclear or just a no answer. So you may get nothing, but you can plumb the depths.
All right. So, question the first he asks is Captain Avery linked to the Zentarum?
No.
His next question is, should I kill him?
Your answer is unclear.
It's not a no. He says, should I kill the Zentarum informant?
Yes.
Taldred smiles at that one.
It cleans you more than the bath does, doesn't it?
It does. And then he will go to sleep.
Any other actions before bed? Anyone at all, of course. Okay. Euros. You find yourself with far too much on your mind. Sleep does not find you easily. You turn over a number of questions in your mind. 1. Where is Moss? Would the Fist have sent you here if you were simply you? Would they have commissioned this armor and lifted you up if they knew the truth? You study the symbol on your armor and you study the consequences of this. The black circle with the purple outline. Was Moss ever here with you? Who was guiding your steps? The obsidian circle gazes back at you. In the twilight of your mind, you can see the outline of lips decorated with black clay, tens of feet high, smiling in the dark. And you forget about Moss and the shoes that you do not care to fill. 2. Truly, what is your standing with the Fist? Or what will it be tomorrow morning? You have been watching in real time as your companions let the clutch of their machinery engage. The machine spins faster. Fresh, golden oil drips from gears. Something engages and grinds forward. A whirring noise. White smoke where the teeth of a gear guides a red-hot chain. What comes in the morning, Euros? Are you truly prepared to take sides here? You quickly put 1 and 2 together. 3. You are connected to the shadowy via your armor. The flaming fist put you in the armor. What happens if Moss is gone or never was? What happens if you turn against the fist? It is such that you have a full mind when you go to sleep and you dream of war. You find yourself somewhere familiar. You are on a distant battlefield. You are somewhere beyond the rim. You are not anywhere real. But Euros, what is reality if not something you can feel? There's a teeming, swirling mass of soldiers. Is it one or many? They have morning stars as you requested. A mouth speaks. We have a stronger force, but morale is low. What should I tell the men?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
A voice speaks to you, a disembodied mouth from this mass of soldiers that you are having trouble placing your finger on. We have a stronger force here, Euros, but our morale is low amongst the men. What should I tell them? You have no idea what, if anything, this is apropos of.
Yours is, I think a part of him realizes this is a dream, but a majority just instinct takes over, and he will tell them that what he tells all of his contingencies, that Glory only comes to those who fight. And if you do not want glory, then what do you even seek?
As you say this, they bash the flat of their morning stars against their shields. You have inspired them. They nod. This swirling mass of soldiers looks at you for one more question. The hardened troops heft to their weapons and look at you. Do you have any strategic guidance before we cross the South Bridge?
Lure them to the bridge and flank them from the banks.
They nod. Absolutely, Commander. You fall back asleep with a jolt, your tired body graciously allowing you to dream of nothing. Ada Worthware. You dream. The wood under your feet sways. You hear a creaking sound. This is it, isn't it? This is the nightmare that lurks. Your dread was well placed. Finally, you knew it was coming. You hear explosions up in the sky. Is it a siege? Will you eat your companions, gnawing on them as the food supply dwindles? No. You find yourself in the grip of a wonderful memory. One of your favorites from 4 years ago. There are arcane fireworks bursting in the air. There are only 6 spellcasters in Suzale, and 4 of them are here at this celebration, up high on the ramparts. You are on a wooden platform with brilliant purple banners and a quickly cut banner that reads, Worthware. Your campaign staffers are with you. Sarah Montrichard hugs you. You know why everyone is so thrilled with you and about you. This is the memory of when you were elected councilwoman in Suzale's 7th district. There is a glass of champagne in your hand, Ada. Wonderful. Your campaign was hard fought, and some of your positions were considered very controversial. The fireworks are there because of the Magic Act, one of the pieces of day one legislation that your coalition passed. Your second staffer, Craig Dale, is watching as an armored adventurer is being escorted toward the gate. Another consequence of your mandate, changing the definition of adventuring parties in Cormyr. People can fight for money in Cormyr, but not under the banner of a mercenary group. This protects your sovereignty. It had been such that, for example, if a member of the Fists was arrested, the district attorney ended up negotiating with the Fists rather than prosecuting the crime. No more. One of the groups operating in Suzale is Griffin Company. Craig watches at what must be a cleric for hire is hustled through the gate. His armor is gleaming, and something about him seems important, even if he is just some sellsword with a patron. There is an argument happening from the walls, but you are too far away mentally to hear it or care about it. Craig turns to you. AW, not to worry you, but what if some of these people want revenge? You're quite literally sending them into the wilderness, as it were.
If I have to stand accountable for the things I have done to improve this city, then so be it. Let them come.
Sarah nods at you. She clinks her glass of champagne against yours. I'm not worried, AW. Have more champagne.
Good idea.
You sleep happily. Nothing gold. You are having a long night. But the time between now and when you fall asleep is your own. The morning may be a terror, but for now, you relax in bed. Your mind drifts pleasantly. For now, you live in a little reverie, and your dawn is far over the horizon. You ponder a memory. The plan was simple enough. You have a unique array of friends, Nothing Gold. Each friend fits into one specific part of your plan. It's nice having friends. Your friend Miacine is an artist. They create paintings. You take those paintings and imitate the signatures of famous artists. Your friend Trissander is a rogue who sneaks your fakes into galleries and swaps them with the original. You often accompany him. Your friend Alyssa comes from a wealthy family that owns several prominent museums. Her level of access and tradecraft means that she is often the one that opens the lock for you and Triss. You sell the paintings via a fence named Kamar, who primarily communicates with you via dead drop. She traffics the originals to a sophisticated clientele, including high-ranking members of the Black Network. And so it went. You can make a lot of money selling original Rechelets and Sedus to people addicted to hosting dinner parties. And it meant that you had a lively and artistic social circle. You like having beautiful friends, and you like carving out your coin with a paintbrush. But the problem with replacing originals with fakes is that if you get caught once, the entire affair is over. You are operating deep inside of Waterdeep. This is as high up on the food chain as you can go. If you get caught, they will change all the guards. The curators will check everything in every collection. One mistake, and the entire operation ends forever. It is thus that you find yourself 6 years ago. You and Triss are waiting behind the side door to the Waterdavian Natural History Museum. He tucks a lock of hair behind an ear. I wonder what's taking so long, he muses. You know our friend wants to sell this one to the Black Ones, don't you?
They've been very interested in paintings of how the world used to be. I'm not surprised.
He looks up the wall, studying the construction of the museum. They have, but don't you think this might eventually catch up to us?
Oh, you're not getting nervous, are you? You're very cute when you're nervous, but there's no need for it.
He smiles and leans close to you. How nice of you to say that, but I'm not sure. I just think something might be wrong tonight. Don't you have that feeling too?
I think she takes a minute and sort of listens to the air blowing through. And,
even in your memory, you can remember the cold of these northern nights in Waterdeep. The trees sway in the wind perfectly in your memory. You remember everything about this night. How could you not?
I think that if you've already decided that it's gonna go bad, then that's all you're going to think about, and then you're just gonna look for reasons that said tragedy will befall you. I think we're fine.
You find yourself filled with hope, not dread, Nothing Gold. After a few minutes here at the back door, you fill with just a bit of doubt, but then the door creaks open and blackness swallows your mind. Brenner Oswick. Here, at night, Brenner, you find yourself feeling largely alone. Others around you seem eager to do as they please. And it is you alone that actively seeks to keep a clean sword, as it were. You are glad to dream. Time passes when you are asleep, Renner, and you feel fortunate for the blessing of a spinning Toril. You quickly find yourself in a symbolic dream. There is no place like this that exists on the Prime, but here you are. Does this exist? Let us consider. You, Brenner Oswick, are sleeping on the Prime right now. Your bundle of nerves is there. But you look up here. There is the deep blue sky, narrowly chopped by papery clouds. There is a moon hung high in the sky, strung up by the stars like a prisoner on the city walls. Does this place exist, or is it all symbols in your mind? Your hand tightens around your arming sword. It feels real enough. Or is that sword merely a symbol of something too? Interesting. What would happen if you struck someone down here, Brenner? I wonder. You hear a voice from a mass of soldiers, all alike. Brenner, who is that? Or is it everyone all at once? Brenner, it's time to go across the bridge and fight the Fist. We must free ourselves from their tyranny. We think they outmatch us. What should we do?
If we are the last line from the Fist, this crumbling mass, we hold it. We let them charge. We burn the bridge. We let them fall. Each of you know your place. You've sworn this creed. So he'll draw the blade that he's had his hand tied around it, lifting it above its head. You know all too well. Those are your brothers and sisters in arms. You make sure they do not fall, and they will do the same for you. We fight from on high. We strike at dawn.
War gives way to nothingness, Brenner. Good night.
Nay.
Lissa Gastmere. You have slipped out successfully. The air is chilly. You are walking through an alleyway parallel to Dove Lane in southwestern Waterdeep. This was 6 years ago. You remember this. You could cast spells then, and you do. Light. And there it is in your hand, glimmering golden radiant light. You close your palm and extinguish it. Again, light and extinguish. This is always a good way to work out a little anxiety on the night of a job. At the corner of Dove and Cedar is the Childs. There's a couple sipping espressos by the torchlight. The chalkboard tells you that the special is a salt biscuit with fatback and Gruyere. You turn the corner. A young priestess of Mistra with incense burners on her pauldrons smiles at you as you pass her. A middle-aged couple, probably heading to the opera. A dwarf, drunk and loping. All of them, in turn, passing you, the Gastmere family scion, walking to the museum to steal something priceless. The details on this job are a bit fuzzy. You did not have a chance to confer with everyone. Maybe that's why it went wrong. Lack of communication. Is this a painting swap, or do they want the Dracoleech bones? You have more to lose than anyone else here. Your compatriots are mostly lowborn. You, shall we say, are not. Foot traffic is low as you approach the front steps. You feel strangely vulnerable tonight as your silhouette skylines against the white marble. You bound up the steps perhaps a little bit too quickly, and you find that the key to the front entrance is already in your right hand. Go ahead and take your movement, Gastmere. The door opens with a heavy creak. You can smell parchment and stale rock dust. It appears that there's two major exhibitions here right now. There are plaques on each of them. You're not sure exactly where you're supposed to go.
I suppose looking at the plaques might be a good start.
This plaque is informational about the museum. It lists the history of its time here. You find this to be rather boring, even for a dream. Verdant plants.
Presumably, if my companions are not entirely incompetent, they should know what they're after, even if I don't. So, if there is a floor plan, and a way to let them in.
You've been here before. You know the floor plan. Not to mention, this is a memory, and somehow you can instantly access everything here. You can see it vividly in your mind. You hope your companions have a clue. You hope they know what they're doing. If they didn't, this would be one way to find out. This hall is filled with fossils and bones. You pass multiple plaques. One reads, skeletal specimen, logger sea turtle, a sturdy sea turtle with a varied diet, native to the Sea of Fallen Stars. You see a plaque, skeletal specimen, dark ray, native to the Underdark. These rays have latent psychic ability and swarm their prey. There is a large plaque next to a draconic skeleton. It simply reads, Dracolich. No further information was thought necessary to include, and the dragon's bones have a faint aura of cold about them.
Presumably, they wouldn't keep that in a museum if it's actually still dangerous and active.
You may presume.
She moves past it.
There is a back corridor here. This storeroom has a musty smell to accompany the layer of dust. There is a passageway running left to right, and there are many boxes stacked irregularly across the corridor.
Oh. Let's see if my companions have a clue.
You open the door with a creak. You gasp, and your mind goes black. Good night, Casimir. Taldred Talton. You find yourself outside the city walls of Suzail. People certainly do ask you to leave a lot. You observe one of the implicit rules of adventuring. The more you get done, the more people shuffle you toward the door. You've been working at this for quite some time, and the right people appreciate you. You have a dedicated band of adventurers, mercenaries really, that you have reached a concordance with. You pick the jobs, and they follow you. As the country has broadly fallen around you, you and Griffin Company have kept the peace as you see fit. You took jobs to protect merchants, and you kept true protection rackets at bay. You extracted artifacts for arcane researchers, helping them to put the pieces of the spell plague spread together. You grew Griffin from 4 adventurers to 20, then 40. Your shrewdness and ability to accomplish contracts with an even measured hand brought more attention than you expected. It is thus that you are being exiled today. This is 4 years ago, merely a memory. Up high on the battlements, the guards call down to you. One of them sounds familiar. Don't let the gate clip you on your way out, sellsword. Her captain adds, Please remove your shiny, smarmy ass from our fair city. The gate closes, sending a thin veil of dust across the ground. The road north, leads eventually to Evening Star and Arabel. Up on the walls, the guards look down at you with derision.
Are you looking for some kind of response from Taldred?
It's not necessary. It's your memory.
There, he would just bite his lip and continue walking.
You do. You hear the guards calling after you as you walk north. The guard that sounds familiar calls out to you, "Your tears mean nothing to me, sellsword." Her captain calls out, "Can barely see you leave from up here on the greatest city in the known world. Beat feet, mercenary." You tire of this dream, and it is soon replaced with blackness. You find yourselves, once again, in the Temple of the Radiant Heart. If there's anything you would like to clarify before the morning, before you head upstairs, you can. Otherwise, the session ends here. But you may wish to get together. You saw nothing throughout your watches, by the way. Helm watched over you. Nothing out of the ordinary. There may have been some comings and goings. You saw Roger Dale's crew in and out. But nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing to report. If there's anything you would like to coalesce before we jump headlong into the next day, please do so.
I was supposed to meet with Samantha Ruthenberg in the morning in the garden.
I think you're supposed to meet with New Paul in the garden in the
New
morning
Paul.
regarding Samantha. So yes, we will do that. Once you go upstairs, it starts a new set of sequences.
Of course, I just want to mention that I would wake up early to do that.
Got it.
Oh, Brenner's interested in your new art project. What have you done to my beautiful baby boy?
So Nothing Gold, I think, spent most of the night in the garden, her workshop upstairs, and she'll come down with the armor that I believe there is. There a new token for it?
I have it. Yes, I will. When we reconcile that and everything you guys put in there, I will slap it in the manifest. But feel free to, if you want to read your description. I thought it was absolutely
Sure.
fantastic.
Let me go look for it. Hang on. Okay. So the breastplate on the back of it. So there's an engraving of a lion's profile there now. There's daubs of paint in sort of wildflower colors that form a wild mane that halos it. And sort of looking at it, it's a very radiant dawn sort of feeling. And of course it'll be resistant to fire now.
Thank you, Nothing Gold. He puts his big mitt on your shoulder.
She kind of laughs and smiles despite herself and says, "Do you actually like it?"
I'll be as honest as I can. This armor, I scraped away everything it stood for, so I could make it my own. You've put what you see of me into it, and to that, I thank you. I do like it.
She actually kind of blushes at that and looks away and doesn't really respond.
Yours,
Yes, sir.
Strappies.
Of course.
Thank you. He needs his help to put it on as well. Donning the armor. He would show it off to the rest of the crew. You think it's suiting?
I think it looks good. Definitely help you stand out more on the battlefield. grab
Never
the
a bad
attention
thing.
of the foes, if you will.
Is it obvious to everybody what the enchantment is?
That it's visually obvious, but I think Ada of all people would be able to interface with it somehow and figure that out.
It's good to know that that's fire resistant. I'll keep that in mind.
Brenner would not have asked you.
Cool. Alright, never mind.
I mean, you would know. Even if you looked at it, I assume you're like an Arcana check or something a lot. But Brenner specifically would not have asked. He just said, I trust you to make the good decision.
Yeah, so I mean, I think nothing Gold even says out loud, like, yes, it's resistant to fire magic, as that seems to be the purview of not only many of the spellcasters here, but the people that we are acting against. And you often are at the front of the charge, whether you mean to be or not, so it seems prudent to protect you from our explosions.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll make it out of this frying pan in one piece.
I think we'll do well. I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Oh, I'd worry.
Worrying only causes you to second guess yourself.
For that much, I agree.
And
On the
for
other
Mr.
hand-
Tarleton to gain wrinkles near his eyes.
We wouldn't want that, would we?
No.
All I know is blind faith leads you to an early grave. I believe our business here is pretty much concluded then. We have a busy day ahead of us.
Agreed.
While we're all standing outside, has anyone seen Dale on his way? Has he leapt through a cellar window?
I think Gasmir was last on watch. I know that when I was up, several of his people were coming and going, but not seen him since.
At least we know he's on the move. He's a little bit important on
Happen to
this end.
see Dale
Say,
with her -1 perception.
I missed the first part of that, Ridley. Could you say that one more time?
Roger Dale, has he departed at any point? Because I think Gasmir was the last one on watch.
The last time you saw he was coming in at the beginning of your watch, perhaps he's still here. You saw him go into these southern rooms that you've never been into. As far as you know, he's still in the building. You wonder what he got in. You wonder what he got into overnight.
I believe he went out. He should still be here somewhere. Perhaps he went to do what we asked of him.
Fingers crossed.
Euros,
Nothing gold.
this spell of yours that allows you to communicate with people at long distances, you just need to know where they are?
It's a message, and it's not as long range as you think, and yes. And there also can't be a lot of stuff in between us. So say if there was 10 foot of cliff between you and me, I could not send you a message. Over my travels, I have found that rocks are actually very highly magic resistant. It's quite weird.
Oh, yes, we often use them in wardings. That makes sense. Alright, then. I was hoping we could send something ahead of us, but perhaps it's better not to.
I can certainly try my best, but
Would
As I
you,
meant-
please?
you're very quick on that. Yes, I will absolutely do my best, but I can't guarantee anything, especially if, well, there's a lot of interference, I suppose.
I am asking a lot from you lately.
I noticed. That's okay. Commander needs to take care of his contingency.
I
Do you
don't think we're
yourself a
below
commander?
you.
Pardon?
Renner asked, do you think yourself a commander?
A commander?
Let's be quite honest here. About 3 of you would fight over that title, and while you were doing that, Miss Worthware would be leading us on.
No. We all have our specialties. There's no need for somebody to take one role over everything.
Would you like for me to call you Commander?
No. No. This is not my true contingency, so that would be a falsify of rank.
Alright, well, if you could try to pass a message to my friend in the prison and just
Okay.
say that Nothing Gold will see her soon.
I will already tell you that I will need to be much closer to the prison to even have a rat's chance in hell to get something across.
What about you? Is Taldrin in? Yes. No?
Yes.
Okay. Taldrin Talton, is your deity able to pass messages? Sorry, Tal, you asked me this.
Your pal Tal, that's right. Yes.
Would you be able to contact her then?
Let me double check that. Would depend on how familiar I am with them.
You've seen the picture that I drew yesterday and handed off to Roger
Yes,
Dale's
that was
team.
her name, so it's possible.
Is that really familiarity, though? It's like, what's her favorite food? How long does she sleep? What's her favorite book? Knowing the name and look of a person doesn't really sell familiarity.
I'm actually wondering what the DM ruling on this is.
What spell are you casting?
Sending.
Let's start there. Yes, let me. Oh, yes, we've already reviewed this. I think in this case you lack familiarity. I don't think that this is enough to pinpoint somebody.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think so. Like scrying was the one we talked about earlier. With scrying, I could with just the picture, but sending simply says with a creature you are familiar with. That's all it says.
You lack familiarity of this person.
As it
Alright.
stands, though, we don't have a lot of time left. Do you think it prudent that we do scry that scroll, the correspondent? Perhaps we'll run into them on our journey.
Oh, you mean the author of this dead drop?
We know where your friend is, so that sort of freed up things, yeah. And if Samantha say is perhaps the author, your little dangling necklace should point the way, yes?
I'm not actually sure if I can do it with the person who wrote the letter, because we don't know who it is, right?
I believe we clarified that we could across the table. I'm not totally positive.
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking across the table. I'm not 100% sure if I
I thought
can.
that was
with
just part of the scrying.
Yes, that's what we're asking about, right? Seeing who left that letter. Not 100% sure.
You've already.
Either I can tell you for a fact that I didn't prepare scrying for today, because originally we were going to use it to find the prisoner, but nothing gold already located the prisoner, so I didn't even prepare it.
Well, I guess that scratches that.
If you have a suspicion that you know who it is, you should get them to write you directions.
Right.
Just have something that we can compare handwriting with.
I could try. I doubt I could convince Samantha to pen me something, but maybe somebody else could.
I think of all of us, she has reasons to hate you the least.
Hmm. Maybe.
Did you succeed with your merchantry last night?
I should say so.
We did, and I replaced your ring in your room. I hope you saw.
Oh. Yes, thank you.
This is a fairly powerful item. I assume you're storing something quite valuable in there.
No, it is empty. I took it off the hand of the woman who... Alex. It was what enabled her to do that powerful magic, and at the time I thought that I could study how she did that.
Well, this should go to good use, so I just hope you use it properly. If not, there are 2 other casters in the group. Of course, I trust your judgment. I'm just trying to remind you that you have this powerful artifact, and we need to use everything at our disposal. It also seems to me like one of us could put a spell inside, and another of us could use it.
Yes, we could enable the non-spellcasters that way. The limitation is just that it needs a scroll.
Should have bought that Tensor's transformation. Anyway. Yes, the merchant seemed to have been shaken down by the flaming fist, and he was quite perturbed. But Taldred parlayed the armor for a pile of scrolls, which I scribed into my trusty spellbook, a sword for Euros, and some trinket. What was that trinket you got, Taldred?
It's just little yellow dog that he's holding. He flashes it.
That is cute.
Yeah, I like it.
What of the daggers?
They're right here, and I will pat the left side of my belt. And you
Do
also
you-
see the new short sword next to them.
Do you need all of them, Euros?
Yes.
You only have 2 hands.
Yes.
And what of me, who has no weapon?
And no hands?
Are you planning on becoming a Marilith? Please give her a weapon.
I thought she had a weapon. Doesn't she, like,
You haven't seen it.
bird?
Now.
Okay. You may pick one of these 2 daggers.
Oh, I can pick.
Regretting your wording yet?
I will tell you, though, nothing gold.
Hmm.
If you want to get on Ada's good side, you'll take the oppressor dagger. Or the obsessor.
Are you actually going to use this, Defiant?
I thought you could pull a magical weapon from the Shadow Weave, Euros.
I can.
So what do you need to be armed to the teeth for?
My offhand.
How many offhands do you have?
3.
Wait, did you really buy him another sword when he already took the long sword from the ghost of
A
Grinch
good-
Grommel?
He
A
said he
good-
wanted it.
A good duelist knows the tool it needs in every situation.
Alright, I'm going to regret asking this. How did you get the money to purchase Euros' armory?
Like I said, we traded Grint's armor. We don't have money.
They weren't using the armor, and I escorted them to the shop. It's
I
only
didn't
fair.
know that when we went there, by the way. That would have been good information to have.
Alright, so for the future, Taldred, I'm broke.
Also broke.
Noted.
Yeah, I also don't have any money. They haven't paid my
Arguing
stipend
over
in quite a
money
while.
is what peasants do.
Do you have
Smith
any
says and
money?
leans back in her chair. She refuses to answer that.
Well, I will tell you one thing I did not find in the prison is the number of items that the Fist confiscated from us.
Well, I'm wondering if they're used. Does it look like they're using the prison as their base of operations?
Not at all.
So probably the juicy stuff is elsewhere. And I bought an item that might help us with that. Or a scroll, rather.
Yeah, I mean, generally the armory and the good stuff is usually kept near the captain's quarters.
It might be non-obvious, but I took locate creature, which can find any person in the city once. Once every time I cast it, obviously.
How long is, or what's the range on that?
Pretty big. Let me look it up. 1,000 feet.
You choose which dagger you want.
Take the one you pointed me at, the Obsessor.
Ah, good choice.
So, this next day, our tasks. I'm gonna talk to New Paul, our trade. He's gonna tell me something juicy. Gonna come back to the group. Yours, you were gonna go check on the portal or something like that? Did you end up putting the barrel on the portal?
Yeah, my barrels.
Okay, you put the barrel in the portal. Good job, Yoros.
I put multiple.
I'm sure you're going to check on that, and then we're going to go to the prison to make sure Nothing Gold's friend doesn't get her head separated from her body.
First, we should probably meet up with Dale. He's a little bit of a contingent point in how we're going to handle this.
Good point. I also took knock, so maybe we don't need Roger Dale for literally everything.
So obviously making sure as well the executions were at dawn, so technically we're doing all this like before dawn, just making sure that we're not fucking late, or 2 hours late because we went shopping.
Yeah, we did agree with Dale to meet him like a few hours before dawn broke to do this exact mission. So in fact, I think this takes place before Ada is supposed to meet New Paul in the garden, because I presume they want to do that after the sun comes up.
Alright, let's write it down. I'm gonna write it down.
It is such that when you ascend these stairs, the sun will rise soon afterwards. You will have a... how do I put this? A very limited amount of time to accomplish the goals you have set forward. But I find it very helpful when you lay them out. So please do so.
Yes. I mean, to that point, I do not think Paul will be offended if we are late with our meeting with him.
He probably will be.
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who...
I'm sorry, Paul, not Roger.
Yes, Roger we should not blow off.
Okay, let's talk about the obvious thing here. How are we gonna break your friend out if she's being executed? Are we just gonna kill all the guards? We going to bribe them? We don't have any money?
Can't Taldra just put the pieces back together?
Let's not let it get to that.
What?
He's talking about resurrection, but I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
Well, he put your eye back together, right? And he just
Very different thing.
Can you resurrect the dead, Taldred?
Possibly. I've never actually attempted it.
Interesting.
I can tell you that the precipice of death is not a place you want your friend to be.
We could just rush up there with a head full of purpose and not be on the same page. I don't want somebody to fire a shot if we're all not willing to follow up. That would be the worst problem.
So, again, as far as I know, there's only one entrance, and it is the one that we've passed, the one that faces the street. There are usually 2 guards there. There was one warcaster inside and another guard off duty in the structure that serves as their little resting area. The biggest problem, of course, is the 10-foot stone wall, which I could scale as a spider, but I would not be able to bring somebody else with me. I can, with the power of my wildfire spirit, teleport somebody, but that means somebody needs to go in. It is likely that they broke her limbs, so it's likely that we'll need to send somebody to go in, bring her out, and as long as I can see over the wall, I would be able to teleport her. Of course, this action in of itself is very flashy.
You're talking about a headlong assault. We need to get this person out surreptitiously, or we're going to have a melee. I don't think there's anything in between.
I would like to kill as few people from the Flaming Fist as humanly possible.
I agree.
Prefer the fists didn't see any of you to begin with.
I agree with you, Yoros, and we
Because
truly...
when the time comes, if it comes down to it, I probably won't be able to help you.
That is completely understandable. That is why I would prefer if we set all of our sights on Major Avery, as it seems most certain that he has goals other than what's best for the Flaming Fist.
You mean target him in such a way that we get him to call off the executions? I could just go in looking like him if you'd rather.
No, I mean we kill him.
I'm sorry, what?
He is quite clearly working against the best interest of the Fist. I know we don't have a lot of proof of that necessarily, but if things keep going the way they do and he makes a move to cut us off from the portal, that fight is going to happen anyways.
You're
I-
saying,
Sorry, go ahead, Loris.
you are saying, and you are asking that you need to kill my commanding officer.
If he is going against the Flaming Fist, is that not what you would do? Is it not your duty to do that?
It is not my duty to cut down the leadership without substantial proof.
That's
Because
priority.
if we were operating purely off of feelings of who should die because of what we think they're doing incorrect, we would have cut Nothing Gold down quite many days ago.
Some of you might have.
At the
Yes, and
at
you
the
had one
moment she-
comment as well that somebody might have cut you down for. Now, our first priority is saving this source of information, is it not?
It is.
Usually, something is weakest when it is being transported.
For that much I agree. They do public execution. The weakest part is not through the 10-foot high stone wall, when they have two guards dragging a, sorry to say it, limp body towards
Or the execution platform, but in between
Yes.
these two locations.
Can I ask a question across the table?
Sure.
How hard is it to transcribe a spell into a scroll?
It takes time.
time, money,
And
resources.
money. Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to have the spell scribing ability.
Okay, that was the.
So if you don't have it in your class kit, you cannot do it. I can do it. I have it in my class kit, but I don't think you can.
No.
Yeah, otherwise I
cannot.
think it's just a feat.
Yeah, you could take it as a feat. That's right.
So and you can only scribe a spell that you know, not if somebody's.
Has to
telling
be
you
in
how
your
to do it.
spell book.
Yeah, or you have to have access to it. So if you had a scroll, you could scribe the scroll into your spellbook, or vice versa.
And worthy of note, in 5th edition, the casters that cast through emotion or favors, so sorcerers and warlocks/clerics, cannot scribe scrolls.
Makes sense. Okay. I had an idea, but I'm going to completely throw that out.
Sorry, unless the DM says otherwise.
So do we actually know where the execution is taking place? Like, is there execution
I assume
plaza?
by the west gate there was that platform.
Which looked like a big execution platform next to all the bodies they started to hang on the giant wall next to it.
Yeah, so we can assume that they are going to be like taking this person from the prison into that area.
More than likely, they'll probably throw her over the wall with everybody else.
Nothing gold. Can I ask you what stopped you from breaking your friend out of prison?
You made me promise to come back.
Fair enough. Would you have risked your life for this person?
It was more that I would have risked the lives of everybody else there. But yes, I was prepared to die for her.
Wow. She must be important to you. They're still after you, the Fist. They don't know you're here.
No, I was the subject of some of their questioning to this person.
Oh, they wanted to know where you were.
Yes, yes they do.
Huh. I know the prisoner is probably most vulnerable while being transported. But unless this is our last action we take in the city, other than going through the portal, we should probably be a little bit more subtle about this.
On the other hand, my identity is somewhat of a resource we can expend. If I'm seen rescuing her, leaving the city, and then I'm simply never seen in the city as myself again, I believe that could have solved the rest of you.
What a wonderful idea.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, that's perfect. How can we aid you in this? This is going to take some planning. This is not a simple task. We don't know when the prisoner is being transported, if they're being transported, what condition they'll be in.
I imagine it will be very shortly before the executions begin at dawn.
And we can't really cast spells in the city without them knowing. So, let's think on it.
We were given that cart from the miners. So we could very well use that to transport her afterwards, but...
What about a distraction that would require the attention of multiple flames?
Another
Fist.
explosion?
Yeah.
Well, I can
Why
make an
not?
explosion, but, there's also...
Free the remaining prisoners, set them loose to run about the city, and somebody has to chase them to catch them.
They are not in the condition to run and be a distraction. They're very sick.
You thin the rank. An explosion actually makes a lot of sense. If anything, they would be more worried that another explosion was happening. They're on the tail of Sirius. Sorry, Maris.
Could she be of assistance?
If we knew where she was.
I could try and find her in the city limits.
She's not in the city
Perhaps.
limits.
Mr. Dale has some information.
I know where she is. I do not think we need her for this right this second.
I don't think I want to work with her anyway. I'm willing to compromise some things, but some things are just so core to your person that you can't compromise them.
Because she claims Cyric as her patron.
She claims Cyric claimed her. Yes, the issue is Cyric. I won't work for the Mad God.
So at least we have the parts to move. We cause an explosion, thin the ranks. You go in, savior and all, escape the city. With enough of a distraction, I think that might work.
So, there's so much more of the Fists than are in the prison.
Yeah, and I think that if we caused a very big explosion up where no one was, they
It
would
would be good to
charge
keep in
these gates.
mind that half the city appears to be against us as well, because half the city appeared to welcome them.
Not anymore.
Those with coin, of course. Nice man with a dog. Not so much the drunkard outside.
One might also say that half the city is cowards, or they wouldn't need the fists here to do their bidding, and I'm not here to make friends, not with them.
Some people aren't cowards and they just don't have the capability to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that, Gasmir. You're not better than the people in the street.
If anything, you're only where you are because of the people in the street.
I wonder what happened to the governing body of this place. They certainly can't be happy about this.
Either in the purse of the fist or the other way around.
I'm sure that paperwork got done that you wanted.
Yeah.
I
Under
wish-
duress.
Forbes mentioned something to me about a highly contested race, but I wasn't of the mind to pay attention to political details. So I don't know what came of that or who even is leading this city right now.
Major Avery.
Major Avery's leading it.
I know what you meant, but
Mm.
of course the fist controlled it. Alright, the biggest issue is this heist we're going to pull. It seems very fragile. We're just going to create an explosion. They should probably be able to trace that back to me. I assume I'm going to be the one creating the explosion.
Unless we have an explosive of a non-magical means.
I think we could probably ask Dale.
Why
I
don't
could create an explosion much easier and from a greater distance.
Explain.
I could place a glyph to go off.
Yeah, that could work. Nothing Gold, do you think you could draw the layout of this prison?
Fairly easily.
I imagine the prison's warded against simple spells, so the explosion will have to be on the outside. But if we set it in an area where your friend's being held, or the prison barracks are, I think that would be probably optimal.
Say that again.
If we set the glyph around the wall where the prisoners are held, that would
I
probably
see.
be optimal. Not all of them are probably on death's door. I'm sure there are some who would run.
Yes, there are cells within the cells and manacles within the buildings themselves that would inhibit them. So I could go in and free them, of course, but it would take extra time.
Well, we're probably doing this while your friend is being transported, right? Because every guard in the city is going to run toward the explosion.
They might just send scouts.
I think there'll probably be disorganization.
Yoros, what do you think of that?
the explosion?
What do you? How do you think the fist would react to an explosion outside the city? Would they commit multiple soldiers to it?
No, not immediately. So how it would work is, with any situation, a small scouting party is committed to figure out whatever the situation is, and generally through some means of communication, it is sent back either through flare, message, whatever, to send more troops, or if it's a false flag.
Perhaps we would need something less discernible, more disorienting, difficult to explain.
If you do it inside the city,
I was about to say, I believe
Or
we need
there's-
something a bit more urgent inside the
there's-
city.
potential property damage that their benefactors,
Beginning of a riot.
not even a riot. The fists need money to we all know, and you've made quite clear, if their benefactors, who are paying the bill, suddenly have something damaged, they will be forced to commit a contingency to that benefactor.
This is the beginning of a riot, you do realise.
If you... Look, you were formerly a rich person, so you should understand.
You mean formally?
I said formally. So, I'm sure you had some standing guards, whatever, in your payroll, correct? Yes? So whenever something simple would happen, such as the chicken got loose, or something in the fence got broken or whatever, you would summon those on your payroll to correct it, yes?
Because I was a rich person with a chicken farm.
Well, I don't know how high and mighty live. You'll have to apologize. A chicken farm is pretty, luxurious to me.
So as it stands, Haldred, are you okay with applying your glyph to this nobleman's house? It's close to the jail. We've walked down that road thrice over in the last day.
I don't know. It's pretty devastating. People could get hurt.
It's a nobleman. Who cares?
Yeah, but
You protest to the murder of Mr. Avery, but some random person you're unfamiliar with is fine.
Because he's not a noble. The noble doesn't have to die. I said property damage. Property damage.
yes, but these things aren't so precise.
Euros, you transgress. Please continue.
I was going to ask if you're going to say that. Yay, I'm so excited.
Alley on the board.
Look. It doesn't... Like, you can get a portion of the house. It doesn't even have to be a house. Something in the yard. Where nobody's going to be around, but something they care about. Like, I don't know, a fountain. Their nice fence out front.
It's possible I could finagle that maybe.
You keep the nobles out of harm's way, so that way he is startled enough to call for the guard, so he can justify paying them to figure out why his fence blew up, and then they'll come running.
I think we're going to need a few more burning fences than simply one to keep enough of them occupied.
Sure, blow up a scatter of fences along a road.
Let's not lose the forest for the trees here.
Also, this would be incredibly difficult to do because this glyph takes an entire hour to inscribe.
Well, that would have been nice to know.
I don't like the Fist occupying this city any more than anybody else, but if the Zentarum come here, they will fight against them.
Why would the Zentarum come here?
Did we just talk about the portal?
Well, yes, but if
There's a
they
portal.
wanted to, they would have by now. They just all they have to do is use one suicide farmer. They don't send waves of armies. They send very specialized people to do things.
Regardless, I think blowing a few holes in the city walls would be more on the Zentarum side than our side.
That I agree with.
Why are you going with city walls? I didn't say to blow up a city wall.
They did. They just did.
Would get their attention and seem urgent without risking lives.
That's where this all started, yeah.
Well,
That's why I think it's a big enough distraction.
I'm
feel
not
like
sure.
We're assuming a whole lot of things right now. We don't know if the prisoners are being moved. We don't know if this friend of Nothing Golds is even being executed today. We are operating under a lot of assumptions right now.
I agree. I think we have 2 basic plans. 3, maybe. One is Nothing Gold intercepts, fights the guards, and grabs her friend and teleports out of there. And then Nothing Gold is never seen in the city again. Plan number 2, blow a hole in the prison, expect there to be some sort of riot, and grab your friend on the way out. And number 3, make enough of a ruckus somewhere else in the city that the prison becomes unguarded. Those are our 3 plans, and when I say them, my confidence in them lowers and lowers. But I'm no tactician. I leave that to the 3 commanders.
I'll be honest. I don't think the Fist would give us a pass just because nothing gold disappears. It seemed like when they entered the town, they were already aware of our association with her.
Of course, they knew our names ahead of time.
Haven't been seen with you again, and I think it's easy for you to say that we had a disagreement and I ran off.
They will probably still throw us in jail, just by how things have been going in the city so far.
Yes, they will likely find that our way of devouring bread is wrong, and we'll be thrown in jail for that.
Well, maybe we should just preemptively blow up the jail then.
That is a tempting idea.
Well, regardless, let's think on it.
Yes, I do think that there's a much more subtle way to go about this, but
I agree. We just need more information first.
Seems to be the case.
the problem is we don't have time to gather that information. So as soon as we have it, we'll have to act on it. And the only thing that you'll have is your limits to guide you.
So we act. We go.
So, as far as I know from all of you, you do not want to harm the Fists, so you will not resort to killing.
I never said that.
If they get in our way, there's nothing more we can do.
If they draw steel, I do too. Period.
I'm sorry, Euros, but by your own admission, what is going on here with the Fist is atypical, correct?
In some senses, yes. Some not so much.
That is why I think that there is more going on here. And as much as I don't want to fight the Fist, there is something else twisting them into a confrontation with us, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, this
Avery-
conversation seems inevitable, unfortunately. I can't see a way around it, and I don't want it.
But Major Avery is not the only head, so to speak.
No, but he does seem the most aggressive when it comes to us and the Radiant Heart.
I bring this up because Ada and Yoros asked me to find solid proof of Major Avery's connection to the Centarum, but there was the possibility that it was his second in command. The other one, I don't remember. I think he was in the temple with us.
I'd prefer not to kill this man. I don't like him, but killing somebody is a lot.
It's
Better get used to it.
But it's not a good idea.
I am used to it, don't worry. That doesn't mean we can't stop ourselves before we swing the executioner.
Right, I'm just saying that if we kill Major Avery and this other person ends up being the problem, then all we've done is clear the way for him to have even more power.
We do need more information.
Agreed. Unfortunately, there's a looming stone above our heads.
None of you have any sort of abilities for making somebody vomit out the truth quickly, because we could attempt to grab this second in command.
Technically, I do.
Brenner just holds up his fist. Done it enough times before.
Mr. Oswick,
Do you not remember that?
hit somebody often enough and they will say anything to get you to stop.
Yes, but when they're in the zone of truth, you can believe
say-
everything they say.
Did you not forget about his circle of thing?
Circle of Thing. He does have Circle of Thing. Thank you, Yoros.
Yes,
You're
but
welcome.
I believe they can refrain from answering if they do not wish to.
Well, if Brenner starts beating on him, he might wish to.
Correct.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. So we have 3 bad plans that we're probably discarding as soon as we hear from Roger Dale.
Yeah.
I would like to speak to New Paul Arthraid briefly. I don't want this to be an aside to our mission. We don't want your friend's head separated from her body before we have some actionable thing we can do.
And if preferable, we do this blood book. If it comes to it, we have more important things to do, and I need to make sure that all of you know you need to be able to step through that port. This is a problem we're going to have to deal with before or after we go through, either way.
I agree.
What would it take to acquire a stay of execution?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Proof of innocence.
Would you claim her as your long-lost sister?
Oh, nobody cares about that.
Unfortunately, my sister is not long lost as much as I might wish that.
There's not as much as a family resemblance as I would have hoped.
Yoros, is there a way we can get a stay of execution?
Paperwork.
Or is this just the war trial? Ooh, paperwork.
Man from an upper.
I think I could throw together some realistic-looking paperwork.
Generally, a benefactor can also call it off too.
Well, I'm not her benefactor. But, do you think that the good Major Avery would respect some sort of, let's say, affidavit from the city council?
Did he respect it when he came in?
No, not at all. But what would they respect? You said paperwork, so now I'm interested.
Writs of command with stamps from a marshal.
That's not gonna happen.
I can make it happen.
Okay, that seems like the best idea yet.
How fast?
Do you know what it looks like, Yoros?
Yes. It is generally I guess, how do I say it? I guess it's a type of fancy wax, I suppose, of their seal, and generally each seal is unique.
And you've seen a seal? Can you name a specific person? I believe that if you give me a detailed enough description, I can make it look as if a specific major has signed off on this paperwork.
There's also a reasonable chance that they read this and just ignore it because this is the frontier and it seems like the majors are doing whatever the fuck they want anyway.
That would prove something of the
Yeah, and it is the only
conduct.
non-violent option that we've explored.
Yes, and I am most in favor of this.
Yes, I was hesitating to suggest it because I knew you would love the paperwork angle.
So,
Bored me to tears.
The only
The-
seal I've seen is Marshal Duke Growling, and he is the one who supervises over Avery and several other,
okay.
or,
Okay. We can have a stay of execution. It won't seem that outrageous.
Follow-up question. How do these writs get delivered?
I guess it depends on the urgency.
I assume the
Yours.
courier.
Yeah, I mean, a courier, like any piece of paper.
So how do we fake a courier coming in?
We can.
They're monitoring the...
You look like a courier of the Flaming Fist, and generally their garb coming down the road from a distance. Because they monitor all entryways and exitways for a distance.
I think we could disguise one of us to be a courier.
But the problem with that is, can you get to the outer city limits or to a spot that looks like you've traveled a good distance within the time limit where we're allowed?
I'm sure there's a side with enough tree coverage.
Probably. I haven't gotten a good look at the outer area.
You never use birds?
No, I hate birds. So
You did
useful.
say.
Whoever this person is might do best to pass this message on to an actual fist as soon as possible.
That's a fantastic idea. All we have to do is approach the gate with the writ.
That
Then
is
we
true.
never have to be exposed.
I mean, it is a duty of any fist to carry out, I guess, the handing off of a writ or any correspondence.
That makes sense.
So, if you can convince somebody that is of the lowest ranks that it's an important writ, in a panic, you could probably trick him into delivering it himself.
So say we
So
deliver
say-
this stay of execution, then what? Your friend rots away in jail?
We have more opportunities to get information and find a plan that doesn't end with an innocent man's head possibly getting lopped off.
I mean, at the most that will happen is Avery will probably have to verify that it's what's actually came in is what needs to be done, and then after that, well, he could just, in a bout of rage, put the execution back on for sunset or the next morning.
That's fine. I think more than an hour is more than we need right now. We are back against the wall, against the clock.
Alright, well, we have many bad plans, so I'll see them through.
You know, a bunch of bad planes stacked on top of each other eventually jumble into something good.
I don't think that's how that saying goes.
Sometimes it is.
So that's it then.
Got nothing more.
I mean, those are the only ideas I have. So,
Okay, well, I will say this. If for whatever reason something goes terribly wrong and I cannot get back into the city, I will meet you in Suzale.
I mean, can't you just turn into a cat and just walk in? I don't think anybody's gonna stop a cat at the gate. I wouldn't.
Thank you for the contingency plan. I will keep it in mind. But I agree with Yoros in principle. You shouldn't have to be permanently missing.
Nor do I want to, but I do need to make sure that Karam is somewhere safe.
It would be such a tragedy if you just up and disappeared after finding the Zentarum contract, or contact.
All the same. Suzanne.
Suzanne. Got it.
Suzale.
Okay. Is that it, everyone?
You set a number of plans into motion for tomorrow. When you go up the stairs, a number of things will come into effect. Everyone good for next week? 1 week from today?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Great
Across
stuff.
the table.
Good.
Just a few things because we didn't do the actual watch period. I gave back all the stuff the Nothing Gold left in Maroon, and read the book.
I'll take her stuff back.
As we can do a little bit of manifest cleanup during the week here.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, good night, everybody. Thank you for playing.
Thank you for running.
Thank you. Had a good time.
Thank
I'm back.